Chapter 124. Night fell. The afterglow of the stars shone on a village that was located in a kernel. It gave the entire White Meow village a bleak and gloomy vibe. Yi Chun sat in the tower of the Meow village while carrying his daughter. He observed the entire village quietly and realized that the White Meow village people's life was still the same as it was 30 years ago. They still used braziers to light up the place and used stoves to cook. Even the drinking water was picked up. However, he felt relieved when he recalled that they lived in a rather remote place and that the people in the village were a little xenophobic. The only special thing was that night in the Meow village. The night in the Meow village was great. The croaking of frogs came from the rice field far away under the stars. The ginkgo tree next to the tower was glowing. "Daddy, I'm hungry." The little girl in his embrace was holding her tummy that had shrunk. Her little face could not stop falling. Yi Chun comforted her. "Do you want to eat a medicinal pill?" "No, I want to eat rice and meat." The little girl shook her head, her stubbornness rising. To her, the things that outsiders could not even buy with money were not even comparable to a bowl of rice and meat. Yi Chun felt a little awkward now. He looked around and had his eyes focused on a chicken coop. He was hesitating if he should steal a chicken for the little girl to eat. At that moment, a fragrance wafted over. The little girl took a hard sniff. "Daddy, it smells so good. It smells so good." Yi Chun looked in the direction where the fragrance came from. He saw a beautiful silhouette walking over with a big iron pot and a bamboo basket on her back. Who else could it be but Xiaoya? "You guys must be starving, aren't you?" Xiaoya put the big iron pot on the ground as she walked closer. She smiled apologetically at Yi Chun and his daughter. The little girl struggled out of Yi Chun's embrace. Her eyes lit up as she looked at the big iron pot. "Auntie Xiao, what did you make? It smells so good." "You'll find out when you open the lid." Xiaoya poked her little face softly. The little girl opened the lid wobbly, and a rich fragrance wafted over. "It smells so good." That was the only thing the little girl knew how to say. Yi Chun could not help but gulp. "This is little black herb stewed chicken." Xiaoya smiled and introduced. "In our village, as long as there are distinguished guests, we will use this to entertain them. Little black medicine is also called triangle maple. It's a type of medicine that can treat kidney deficiency, low back pain, asthma, and also has the effect of promoting blood circulation and removing blood stasis." Kidney deficiency, low back pain? Yi Chun's expression froze when he heard that. Xiaoya took out 2 bowls of steaming white rice from the bamboo basket and passed them to the little girl and Yi Chun respectively. "Eat up. I'll get more for you guys if it's not enough." "Thank you, Auntie Xiao, you're the best." The little girl smiled sweetly and began eating after picking up the bowl. She even added a piece of chicken for Yi Chun. "Dad, you should eat more too. Only when you're full will you have the strength to fight." Yi Chun was speechless. "So in your eyes, I'm just a boorish man who only knows how to fight?" He suddenly didn't want to acknowledge this daughter of his. After hesitating for a moment, he picked up the bowl and began eating at a steady pace. Xiaoya sat aside and watched the father and daughter quietly while holding her chin with her hand. Her beautiful eyes were focused on Yi Chun, and she was lost in thought without realizing it. "Is there something on my face?" Yi Chun said without lifting his head while eating. Xiaoya's pretty face blushed and she looked away immediately. She suddenly said after hesitating for a moment, "I'm sorry, Yi Chun." "What are you sorry for? I shouldn't have done that to you guys." She held her head down as she spoke to this point and clasped her fingers tightly. "Those 2 bottles of water, I almost killed you guys. Let it go. Moreover, you didn't let me drink it when it mattered, did you?" Yi Chun said while smiling. "That's true, but I still feel bad." Xiaoya could not let go of the knot in her heart. She said to herself, "You know about the Black Meow village. I was kidnapped to the Black Meow village when I was 15. Their high priest planted a goo in my body and hid me outside so that my grandma and the rest couldn't find me. I don't know if I'm a bad woman to you, but I guess so. A woman like me won't have a good ending." As she spoke, her tears fell like pearls from a broken necklace. The little girl who was eating stopped eating and said while looking at her, "Auntie Xiao, are you hungry? Daddy is right. You guys are too poor. You'd rather starve yourselves and feed Daddy and me." Yi Chen was speechless. What the hell is this girl saying? Xiao Ye, on the other hand, was amused by what she said. She rolled her eyes at her while wiping her tears. "You bad girl. I'm not poor at all. I'm richer than your daddy. My daddy has a few billion." The little guy pouted, as if he wanted to continue. Yi Chen picked up a piece of chicken immediately and stuffed it in her mouth. He then asked Xiao Ye while looking at her, "Was the goo in your body planted by the Black Miao village's high priest?" "Yes." Xiao Ye nodded as fear filled her pretty face. "This isn't an ordinary goo. According to Uncle Li, it's the egg of the Black Miao village's golden silkworm goo. As soon as it enters my body, the high priest can control me even if we're thousands of miles away, especially when the goo is activated. Moreover, only the high priest can take it out. Grandma and the rest have discussed it for a long time, but there's nothing they can do." Xiao Ye nodded as fear filled her pretty face. Her body could not stop shaking as she spoke to this point. Clearly, she had experienced something in the past. "Is this it?" A white one suddenly appeared in Yi Chen's hand. It looked like a silkworm baby. "Yes." Xiao Ye nodded by instinct. Subsequently, she opened her pretty eyes wide. Where did you get this from?" "From your body," Yi Chen said while smiling. "I am in my body?" Xiao Ye exclaimed and said in disbelief, "No way. Are you saying that this is the goo in my body?" "That's right." Yi Chen nodded. Xiao Ye was shocked. How did you take it out?" "It's simple. I took it out because I wanted to," Yi Chen burped and said in a muffled voice. Xiao Ye was speechless. "You took it out because you wanted to?" That was the golden silkworm goo's egg. The high priest had even cast a spell on it. Apart from him, nobody could take it out. Yi Chen frowned when he saw her staring at him blankly. "You don't believe me? Do you want me to put it back?" Xiao Ye screamed and retreated a few steps back immediately. She said in disbelief after being stunned for a few seconds, "Yi Chen, sometimes I really wonder if you're my classmate." He had killed Li Yuan with a slap. Unbeknownst to him, he had helped him remove the goo from the high priest's body. Was that something an ordinary person could do? "Don't tell anyone. Just keep it to yourself. I don't want to be interrogated like a criminal by those old men and old ladies." Yi Chen smiled, not minding it at all. "Thank you." Xiao Ye took a deep breath in and said in gratitude, "Thank you, Yi Chen. It's no use saying that. Can you give me another bowl of rice? Your chicken stew for treating kidney deficiency is great." At the same time, in a valley 50 miles away, a gloomy and terrifying stronghold stood tall in the darkness. There was a cave with a brazier in it. A man in a black robe was chanting at the brazier before him at the moment. As he moved his hands, 2 fist-sized flames leaped out of the brazier into his hands. Bang! At that moment, the brazier exploded with a bang. Sparks flew everywhere. The black-robed man spat a mouthful of blood out hard. The blood pierced a hole in the wall of the cave directly. "Who is it? Who broke my goo?" The black-robed man could not stop roaring like he had gone mad. He looked shocked. Suddenly, he turned his head to look at the entrance of the cave. He turned around and said in his deep voice, "Come in." Subsequently, a sinister-looking old man in his 60s walked in quickly. He knelt on the ground in all seriousness when he was less than 10 steps away from the black-robed man. "High Priest, Li Yuan's natal goo is dead." The black-robed man was not surprised at all. He said without even turning his head, "How did that piece of trash die?" "We found his body at the scene and something from the White Miao village," the sinister-looking old man said while trembling. White Meow Village, what a White Meow Village. I didn't want to deal with you guys so soon. Since you guys have a death wish, don't blame me. The black-robed man grinned. Pass down my order. Order the elders from the Li, Yin, Zhao, and Ma clans to lead 500 people each to the White Meow Village before dawn the next day. 4 illuminating pulse experts are coming. If you guys don't destroy the White Meow Village this time, I'll toss everyone into the Divine Dragon Pond. Bring that B***TCH back. Chapter 125. The next morning, someone knocked on the door of Yi Chen and his daughter's room. The old lady from yesterday stood at the door with a walking stick. She said expressionlessly, "Mr. Yi, I think it's time for you to leave. Please forgive our Meow Village for not being a good host." The few old men from before and the young people including Tashin and Xiao Ye stood behind her. However, apart from Xiao Ye, the rest did not seem to be friendly to the father and daughter. There was even a hint of hostility and rejection. "We'll leave after we pack up." Yi Chen smiled calmly and subsequently closed the door. He did not plan to stay in the White Meow Village for long anyway. Moreover, he had removed the goo in Xiao Ye's body. He walked to the bed and woke Meng Meng up. The little girl rubbed her sleepy eyes. "Daddy, I'm so sleepy. I want to sleep." "Wake up. It's time for us to see the grassland," Yi Chen comforted. In a courtyard outside the room, Xiao Ye bit her lip and asked in confusion, "Granny, it's not even morning yet. Why are you asking Yi Chen to leave in such a hurry? That brat's background is unknown. Of course, we can't let him stay for long. It's already an exception for us to let him spend the night here," an old man said in his deep voice. Xiao Ye said immediately, "Grandpa Fong, I've already told you that he's my classmate. How can he be someone with an unknown background? Then, can you explain why your classmate has the ability to kill Li Yuan?" the old man said, unmoved. Xiao Ye was speechless. Nini, ask your classmate to leave." Another old man softened his tone and said, "He killed the people from the Black Meow Village. We can only protect him now, but we can't protect him forever. Moreover, our village has different opinions about him now. Some people suggest to give him to the Black Meow Village to resolve the grudge." "Grandpa Wu, how can you guys do that? You must know that Yi Chen saved me and Tashin." Xiao Ye's pretty face changed. She was rather angry. "Nini, how can you talk to your Grandpa Wu like that?" The old lady who had been quiet scolded her. "The Black Meow Village's ability is more powerful than ours. The High Priest aside, the 4 chiefs, Li, Yin, Zhao, and Ma, are all illuminating pulse experts. We're no match for them. The most we can do is protect ourselves. That's why I said it's best to let that kid leave before dawn." Xiao Ye nodded with difficulty, and had no choice but to accept it. "Nini, don't tell me you've fallen for that brat?" The old woman coughed and pretended to ask casually. "Grandma, what nonsense are you talking about? I don't have that." Xiao Ye's face turned red and she stomped her feet. The old woman subconsciously exchanged glances with the other clan elders. Everyone's expressions became increasingly gloomy. The White Meow Village's daughters would never marry an outsider. It was a rule that had been passed down since ancient times. It was an iron law. As they were talking, Yi Chen walked out of the room while carrying the little girl. Seeing that everyone was looking at him with unfriendly eyes, he said without a change in expression, "Excuse me, where is the exit?" "Yi Chen, I'll bring you there." Xiao Ye blurted out by instinct and walked over. However, she was grabbed by the old woman. "Nini, there's a bug in your body right now. It's not good for you to work hard. Let me send your classmate off." His voice fell. 2 women were holding her down. "Grandma!" Xiao Ye cried. The old woman ignored her and turned her head to look at Yi Chen. "Follow me, Mr. Yi. I'll send you off myself." Yi Chen smiled lightly at Xiao Ye. Subsequently, he caught up to the old woman and walked to the White Meow Village's exit. Both of them said nothing along the way. The old woman suddenly stopped walking when they were almost at the village's entrance. She turned around and looked at Yi Chen expressionlessly. I don't care what's going on between you and Nini. I'm giving you a piece of advice. Don't come back after you leave, let alone contact Nini. Of course, we won't let her go out anymore. I don't understand what you're saying. Yi Chen frowned. To put it simply, our White Miao Village's daughters won't marry an outsider, nor will we marry an ordinary man. She's destined to marry our White Miao Village's future high priest. The old woman paused as she spoke to this point and continued after a scoff. Don't think that you can cross the line just because you've saved Nini. Although you've killed that piece of trash, Li Yuan, your ability is nothing to us. It'll be as easy as you killing Li Yuan if I want to kill you. They had discussed Yi Chen last night. The conclusion he came to was that Yi Chen did not know Gu, and there was no energy fluctuation in his body. In that case, it could only be attributed to Yi Chen being an external martial artist who managed to kill Li Yuan by taking him by surprise. Don't worry, I never had any thoughts about Xiaoye. The reason why I helped her was because I was in a good mood. Yi Chen smiled calmly. Suddenly, he looked at the gate far away as if he sensed something. He frowned. You came at the right time. What did you say? The old woman was stunned. At this moment, a burst of fire and miserable screams came from the village gate 100 meters away. Enemy attack, the old lady's expression changed immediately. She left Yi Chen and ran to the gate quickly. Meanwhile, the people in the entire White Miao village heard the commotion. Soon, up to 1,000 people rushed over with shock written all over their faces. The leaders were the few elders. What the hell happened? The people from the Black Miao village are attacking us. Everyone from the Black Miao village is here. Apart from the high priest, the 4 chiefs are here too. Shocking news exploded in the crowd one after another. Everyone's face turned pale from the shock. The White Miao village had always been obedient and abided by their ancestors' teachings. As a result, their ability was weaker than the Black Miao village. Now that all of them were here, the White Miao village's fate was in danger. The group of people ran to the village gate quickly. They saw dense torches lit up on the empty ground below. All of them were dressed in black. It was dark like a swarm of locusts. The leaders were 4 old men in black. They had long hair and looked grim. Their auras were terrifying. The old lady went up to the village tower and looked at the 4 old men below with a grim expression. Li Chu, what's the meaning of this? Are you declaring war on the White Miao village? Old B** starred Xiao Xian, your White Miao village killed Li Yuan, the core disciple of my Black Miao village's Li family. We can't live under the same sky. The high priest ordered us to destroy your White Miao village today. The person called Li Chu was a white-haired old man. There was a giant snake that was as thick as an adult's thigh next to him. It was baring its teeth. Bullsh** T. Don't you think your Black Miao village has killed too many people from my White Miao village? Someone on the village tower said in anger. Li Chu grinned. I'll give you 1 minute to open the village gate. Everyone kneel and surrender. Otherwise, no one will be left alive today. Let's fight then. Do you really think my White Miao village is afraid of you? Wu Tashan was enraged as he held a battle axe in his hand. An old man slapped him and knocked him out as soon as he was done speaking. The old man carried him and jumped down from the village tower. He could not stop killing the White Miao village disciples who were guarding the village gate. Wu Su, stop. Do you know what you're doing? The old lady slammed her walking stick hard. She was enraged. Xiaoye covered her red lips softly and screamed, Grandpa Wu, don't. Everyone was in disbelief when they saw that. Wu Su was the White Miao village's Wu family's elder. He was the second illuminating pulse powerhouse in the village. Never had they thought that he would betray them. Ha ha ha, old fart Xiao Xian, I bet you didn't expect this. Your White Miao village's number 2 powerhouse has surrendered to my Black Miao village since a long time ago. Li Chu, who was below, laughed out loud. I'm not afraid to tell you that Wu Su has always been one of us. He even captured your granddaughter, Nini, and gave her to the high priest back then. Bang! The old lady felt like she was struck by lightning. She looked at Wu Su, who was killing his people below in disbelief, and spat a mouthful of blood. Wu Su, you'll die a horrible death. I'm sorry, Xiao Xian. The high priest's power is unparalleled. I don't want to sink with you guys. Only by surrendering to the high priest will I follow my destiny, Wu Su said coldly. Xiaoya was stunned. So it was her beloved Grandpa Wu who had harmed her since the beginning. Bang! Wu Su opened the village gate. Kill them all. Destroy the White Miao village. Leave no one alive. Li Chu waved, and the thousands of Black Miao village people behind him rushed into the village gate. Some shot arrows while some cast goo. At that moment there were snakes, rats, insects, and ants everywhere. There were screams everywhere. Among the 4 White Miao village elders, only 2 of them were on illuminating pulse. Meanwhile, the 4 Black Miao village elders were all on illuminating pulse. Their abilities were unequal to begin with. Now that Wu Su had rebelled, it was undoubtedly a devastating blow to the White Miao village. The old lady fought Wu Su and another illuminating pulse expert from the Black Miao village on her own. The remaining 2 illuminating pulse experts from the Black Miao village were like tigers in a flock of sheep. The old lady lost her composure after witnessing half of the White Miao village people being killed. Moreover, she was surrounded by the 2 experts, and one of her arms was bitten off by Li Chu's giant snake. Xiaoya almost fainted. Granny! Nini, leave. Leave now. The further the better. Don't ever come back. The White Miao village is doomed. What have we done wrong? The old lady could not stop spitting blood. On the village tower, a few Shao clan disciples grabbed Xiaoya. Their eyes were bloodshot. Nini, there's no turning back now. Let's go. We'll protect you with our lives. As long as you're alive, the White Miao village won't be destroyed. Don't let Granny's efforts go to waste. Wu Su, capture that B***tch now. We'll all die if she escapes. Li Chu slapped the old lady and could not stop roaring. Wu Su, who was fighting in the crowd, nodded to show that he understood. With his illuminating pulse cultivation base, he was invincible. He leaped onto the village tower within a few leaps. The Shao clan disciples who were guarding Xiaoya clenched their teeth and charged over fearlessly. You're so stubborn. Wu Su scoffed and killed all of them within the blink of an eye. He then walked toward Xiaoya one step after another. Xiaoya took a step back to Yi Chen by instinct. She looked at Wu Su with pain written all over her face. Grandpa Wu, wi? Every man for himself, heaven and earth will destroy him. Wu Su's expression was cold. He was no longer as gentle as before. He had his eyes on Yi Chen, who was behind Xiaoya. And you, come with me. Don't resist. I'm not a piece of trash like Li Yuan. I'll go with you. Get Yi Chen and the rest to leave. Xiaoya's body shuddered slightly as she smiled in despair. Is that even possible? Wu Su chuckled. Yi Chen, I'll stop him. Run. He won't dare to kill me. Xiaoya clenched her teeth as determination flashed through her pretty face. Just when she was going to pounce on Wu Su, a big hand grabbed her shoulder. A big hand grabbed her shoulder, and then a faint voice came. Since when do I, Yi Chen, need a woman to sacrifice herself to save me? Moreover, I can kill this piece of trash like killing a chicken within 10 steps. Chapter 126. Xiaoya's body jolted, and she turned her head to look blankly at Yi Chen. Since when do I, Yi Chen, need a woman to sacrifice herself to save me? I'll kill him like killing a chicken within 10 steps. It was just a short sentence, but it was gentle and domineering. There was disdain in the domineering tone. It stirred great waves and ripples in her heart. At that moment she was in a slight daze. How dare you, you brat! Wu Su was so mad that he was about to explode. He slammed his palm out from 15 steps away. The palm wind was fierce. Although he was moving, he was like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. Yi Chen, run! Xiao Ya's face turned pale. Yi Chen shook his head. Instead, he took a step forward and protected Xiao Ya behind him. Sure. The Hmong village is going to be destroyed and our people are dying. It's enough that I can die with you. Xiao Ya's tears were rolling down her cheeks. After taking a deep breath, a poignant beauty bloomed on her beautiful face. However, Yi Chen stretched his arm out and grabbed the air. A white gleam formed in his palm, and the gleam looked like a sword. All Xiao Ya saw was a white gleam flashing before her eyes. She closed her eyes by instinct. When she opened her eyes again, she was shocked to find Wu Su standing still 10 steps away. He was staring at Yi Chen with his eyes wide open. A line of blood grew larger and larger from his neck. Yi Chen said coldly, I told you that I'll kill you like killing a chicken within 10 steps. Wu Su's head rolled onto the ground as soon as he was done speaking. Wu Su's head rolled to the ground with a bang, and his body fell backwards. Ah! Xiao Ya screamed and covered her red lips softly. She watched that in disbelief. Grandpa Wu, the expert who was second only to Granny in the village, was dead just like that? Moreover, he did not even get close to Yi Chen until he died? How was that possible? She knelt before Yi Chen immediately after snapping back to her senses. Yi Chen, I'm begging you. Please save my granny and my people. She understood everything now. Granny and the rest were wrong. The people were wrong. Yi Chen was the real expert. Yi Chen lifted his eyes to take a good look. He saw that more than half of the White Miao village people were dead. 2 of the 3 experts, including the old lady, were dead. The old lady was the only one who was struggling. He was a little hesitant as he did not want to get involved in the internal dispute of the Hmong village. The reason why he saved Xiao Ya was purely out of friendship. Yi Chen, I'm begging you. My granny and the rest have neglected you. I'm here to apologize to you. Xiao Ya thought that he did not want to save her, so she kowtowed loudly. At that moment, Meng Meng could not help but pull Yi Chen's collar. Daddy, please save them. I still want to eat the little black medicine stewed chicken. Alright. Yi Chen could not help but laugh. He nodded and extended his arm. Wu Su's head flew toward Li Chu, who was fighting the old lady. Li Chu only heard the sound of something breaking through the air behind him. After forcing the old woman back with a palm strike, he hurriedly turned around and punched out. Wu Su's head instantly exploded into a pool of blood. When he looked again, he saw Xiao Ya and a young man carrying a little girl standing on top of the village tower, their clothes fluttering in the wind. Why are you guys fine? Where's Wu Su? Li Chu asked subconsciously. He seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly looked at the blood on the ground. His face was full of shock. The meridian opening expert Wu Su had died just like that? At the same time, everyone was attracted by what Li Chu said. They looked at the duo on top of the village tower. Nini, why haven't you left? Leave now. The old lady's hair was messy and she looked clumsy. She even lost an arm. Xiao Ya took a deep breath and said loudly, Granny, Yi Chen has killed Grandpa Wu. What? The traitor Wu Su is dead? Everyone was shocked. Apart from feeling elated, they were shocked. They immediately looked at Yi Chen, who was standing next to Xiao Ya. I must have been blind. I can't believe that I underestimated you. The old lady was shocked at first. Subsequently, she looked at Yi Chen and said while laughing out loud, Mr. Yi, the White Miao village will never forget your kindness of helping us kill the traitor. Please leave with Nini. I'll definitely repay you in my next life. Leave? Where do you think you're going? Li Chu grinned and looked at Yi Chen with a terrifying gaze. Brat, I'll give you another chance. Did you kill Wu Su? He did not believe that a mere young man could kill Wu Su that easily. Facing everyone's stare, Yi Chen said coldly while carrying the little girl, So what if I did? Not only did I kill Wu Su, but I also killed Li Yuan from the Black Miao village. I'm even going to kill all of you, Dead silence filled the place as soon as he said that. Everyone looked at Yi Chen blankly. How arrogant! The 4 Black Miao village experts led 2,000 people to attack today, but he said that he was going to kill all of them alone. Brat, who do you think you are? You're shameless. Li Chu laughed out of rage as killing intent flashed in his eyes. My name is Yi Chen, Xiao Ya's friend. Yi Chen looked down at the people and said extremely coldly, Of course, I have another identity. I'm Mad Southern Leaf of Tiannan. Mad Southern Leaf of Tiannan? Everyone was stunned one after another. They could not recall such a person. Naturally, it was also because they had been living in the mountain for a long time and had little contact with the outside world. Even Xiao Ya and the old lady were no exception. I don't care if you're Mad Southern Leaf or Mad Northern Leaf. You must die today. Li Chu shouted. Just when he was going to attack, someone stopped him. Chief, you mustn't. A middle-aged man with thick brows and big eyes walked out from behind Li Chu. The middle-aged man lifted his head to look at Yi Chen, and his expression changed drastically. Why, you're really Mad Southern Yi? Yi Chen said nothing. The middle-aged man looked at him a few more times, and he looked even more shocked. He mumbled as if he was talking to himself. Yes, he looks exactly like the rumors. Li Feng, what are you mumbling about? Li Chu said with a grim expression. Chief, let's retreat. We mustn't do this. Li Feng was sweating profusely. He peeped at Yi Chen secretly while fear filled his face. Is he famous out there? Li Chu could not help but ask. Li Feng was sent by the Black Miao village to be in charge of purchasing. At the same time, he was learning new knowledge, so he was always out there. He's not just famous, he's too famous. Li Feng gulped. He's the legend of Tiannan. At the same time, he's the Tiannan #1. Rumor has it that he once killed a martial Dao master. Fish. Li Chu's scalp tingled. He could not help but look at Yi Chen again. He was secretly shocked. Martial Dao master. To them, that was a legend. Just like the high priest in the village, he was extremely powerful. If that kid was really a martial Dao grandmaster like Li Feng said, would they still be a match for him? Li Feng's voice was neither loud nor soft, but everyone heard him without missing a word. Mr. Yi is a martial Dao master? The old lady had shock written all over her face. Xiao Ya looked at Yi Chen with her beautiful eyes wide open. She was in slight disbelief. Mad Southern Yi my A**s. A scoff came as an old man from the Black Miao village, in a black robe, walked over. Li Chu, I can't believe that you've lived for so long. Even if Mad Southern Yi is really as Li Feng said, how can you be sure that the brat up there is Mad Southern Yi? I ain't sure, don't believe it. Li Chu snapped back to his senses as soon as he said that. He looked at Yi Chen with a grim expression. Brat, I don't care if you're Mad Southern Yi or not. I'm giving you a chance to scram now. Otherwise, there's no need for that. He was interrupted before he was done speaking. Yi Chen waved, he was rather impatient. Why should I, Yi Chen, be afraid of a few pieces of trash like you? Come at me together. Chapter 127. As soon as Yi Chen was done speaking, everyone could not help but inhale sharply. Did he want to fight 4 of them on his own? One must know that Li Chu and the rest were the top 4 experts in the Black Miao village, apart from the high priest. Mr. Yi, don't act rashly. These 4 old dogs have powerful abilities, and they're very good at using goo. The old lady's expression changed, and she said immediately, I'm willing to fight the 2 of them for you with my life. No need. Yi Chen said coldly, I've told you that I'll kill these 4 pieces of trash like killing dogs. Presumptuous. I'll show you how powerful I, Ensure, am today. Ensure, who was below, was enraged. He moved and leaped a few steps along the wooden frame of the village tower. He leaped onto the tower as if he was running on walls. Die for me. Ensure charged his palm out. A palm print consolidated in the air and charged at Yi Chen with an extremely ferocious aura. Xiao Ye shrieked in fear. Yi Chen casually charged his palm out with one hand. In the next second, Yin Shi's head exploded. Yin Shi's head was instantly split into pieces. He didn't even have time to scream before his mutilated body fell to the ground. At that moment, dead silence filled the place. The entire place was dead silent. Everyone stared blankly at this scene, as if they had been petrified. It was just a blow. The top expert of the Black Miao village, Yin Shi, died just like that. The 3 Black Miao village chiefs, including Li Chu, looked horrified. They found it hard to accept. Yi Chen lifted his head to look at the 3 of them. Killing intent gathered in his eyes as he leaped from the village tower while carrying the little girl. He walked toward the 3 of them one step after another as his extremely cold voice came. He's the first one. You 3 are left. The 3 of them took a step back by instinct. Fear had replaced their hearts. They would take a step back every time Yi Chen took a step forward. A chain reaction was triggered, causing the thousands of people that the Black Miao village brought to retreat. There was Zhao Zilong who killed the enemy's general in the past. Today, there's Mr. Yi who broke the army alone. He's a real man. The old lady was shocked. Li Chu gulped and said as Yi Chen approached them, "This man is too powerful. Why don't we retreat and come up with a plan? Have you forgotten what the high priest said? If we can't destroy the White Miao village today, we'll be thrown into the divine dragon pond." Another old man said in a trembling voice. As soon as he said that, the hearts of the 3 of them trembled. Li Chu gritted his teeth and said, "If that's the case, then let's kill him. The 3 of us will attack together. Set up the formation." He shouted and leaped into the air. The remaining 2 old men's aura changed. They stood side by side and Li Chu landed on their shoulders, forming a herringbone formation. Meanwhile, the auras of the 3 of them suddenly soared, and a green light flashed from their bodies. From afar they looked like giant poisonous scorpions. "Mr. Yi, they're using the Black Miao village's triple curse formation." Old Lady Zhao's expression changed, and she hurriedly warned, "The combined strength of the 3 of them is comparable to the strength of 6 people. Furthermore, there is poison in their energy. Ordinary people will definitely die upon contact. Brat, we don't care if you're the real Mad Southern Yi. I'll give you one last advice. Don't interfere with our Hmong village's matters." Li Chu shouted loudly, causing many people to vomit blood. "Since you guys know that I'm Mad Southern Yi, you guys should kneel and accept your death." Yi Chen scoffed. 3 of you is comparable to 6 people? Forget 6, I'll kill you even if there are 60 or 600 of you. Today, none of you will live. Yi Chen moved as soon as he was done speaking. Yi Chen charged at the 3 of them at high speed. "Gather!" Li Chu shouted in rage. The giant poisonous scorpions on the 3 of them turned into shadows. They opened their bloody mouths and charged at Yi Chen. Child's play. Divine punch created in 33 days, 8th form. Dragon claw. Yi Chen smirked in disdain. He held his daughter with one hand and grabbed the poisonous scorpion shadow that was charging at him with the other hand. A giant golden hand rose into the sky. It was majestic and majestic. The giant golden hand grabbed the poisonous scorpion shadow accurately. The poisonous scorpion shadow was crushed instantly. It could not fight back at all, as if it was destroyed. Thud! Li Chu and the other 2 spat a mouthful of blood at the same time and fell hard onto the ground. They looked horrified. Never had they thought that their ultimate evil goo formation would be destroyed by Yi Chen like a piece of paper. Let's go. Let's split up." Li Chu looked terrified. He had finally lost his will to fight. He turned around and ran far away. As soon as he left, the other 2 could not be bothered anymore. They fled in all directions. "Mr. Yi, we mustn't let them go. Otherwise, they'll definitely lure the high priest here when they get back." The old lady's expression changed drastically. She was going to chase after them. "None of the people that I, Yi Chen, want to kill can escape." Yi Chen squinted slightly and did not chase after them. He lifted his right hand slowly, and a fireball the size of an adult's head formed in his palm. Everyone was so shocked that they could not speak. Everyone was so shocked that they could not speak. They looked at Yi Chen with respect in their eyes. At that moment, Yi Chen was no different from the fire god Zhurong to them. Wow, Daddy can do magic too. Meng Meng was the only one who was excited. Go! The fireball in his palm split into 3 as Yi Chen thought to himself. Each of them shot toward the direction that Li Chu and the other 2 were running in. The 3 of them, who had leaped hundreds of meters away, turned their heads by instinct. They saw something that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. They saw a fireball the size of a fist coming at them like a will-o'-the-wisp. It landed hard on them, and they started burning immediately. The 3 of them did not even have the time to scream. Their bodies were burned into ashes within the blink of an eye. At that moment, the entire place fell into dead silence. Yi Chen was the only one who stood in the wind. His clothes were fluttering. Everyone had their eyes on that silhouette. The shock within them lingered for a long time. The Black Miao village, that came in a domineering manner, collapsed because of him. Such a person was like a ghost. Yi Chen, are you guys alright? Xiaoya, who was the first to snap back to her senses, walked down from the village tower immediately. She took a good look at Yi Chen and his daughter anxiously. I'm fine. Yi Chen shook his head and lifted his eyes to look at the remaining Black Miao village people. The thousands of people retreated a few steps back as he shifted his gaze. The old lady shouted after she snapped back to her senses, "Those who surrender will be spared." The old lady shouted as soon as she snapped back to her senses. The people from the Black Miao village put down their weapons at the same time and knelt onto the ground. "Mr. Yi, please accept this old lady's bow." The old lady walked over and knelt hard before Yi Chen. She said with extreme gratitude, "If not for you, my White Miao village might have been annihilated today." I bang. At that moment, a brazier beneath the village tower exploded all of a sudden. A wave of fire rose over 3 meters high. A man in a black robe slowly appeared in the wave of fire. The man looked like he was bathing in the fire. He stared at Yi Chen with his eyes hidden under the black hat. He was extremely resentful, like a devil. "Mad Southern Yi, you ruined my plan and killed my people. I'll be waiting for you in the Black Miao village. If you don't dare to come, I'll send people from the Black Miao village to sneak into Qiannan and kill everyone related to you, especially your family." Chapter 128. The sky had just turned bright. In a valley 50 kilometers away from the White Miao village, hundreds of people in Miao attire stood on the mountainside nervously. The leader was an old lady with a single arm. There was a skinny young man standing next to her. He was carrying a little girl who was 4 or 5 years old. "Mr. Yi, that's the Black Miao village." The old lady stretched her arm and pointed at the village in the valley. Her expression was extremely grim. As Li Chu and the rest died, the high priest used the fire to challenge Yi Chen. She knew how powerful the high priest was, so she tried to persuade Yi Chen not to come. However, Yi Chen was not moved at all. She could only bring all the young men in the tribe with him. After all, the high priest would come sooner or later even if Yi Chen did not come. The outcome would be the same. Since that was the case, why not give it her all? Yi Chen squinted and looked at the Black Miao village while carrying his daughter. There was a faint black energy lingering in that direction. The black energy lingered. "There's demonic energy. It seems like it's the divine dragon pond that you mentioned. Let's go. I'd like to meet this high priest." Yi Chen smiled calmly and walked into the valley while carrying his daughter. The people followed him immediately. However, they found it strange that nobody was guarding the Black Miao village. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The old lady reminded, "Mr. Yi, it might be a trap." "It doesn't matter if it's a trap or not. I'll break it with a punch." Yi Chen looked calm. Since the Black Miao village's high priest asked him to come, he must be confident in his ability. The group went deep into the Black Miao village. They smelled the pungent smell of blood lingering in the air. They headed straight to the temple where the high priest was. The so-called temple was actually just a stone castle made of piled-up stones. However, the stone castle looked like a ferocious beast. As the crowd stepped into the temple, they saw a very dim space with rows of braziers in the surroundings. There were all sorts of venomous snakes on the stone stairs that led from the bottom to the top. It was like they were in a sea of snakes when they looked over. A black silhouette stood at the end of the stone stairs with his back facing everyone. The high priest. The old lady lost her cool and screamed. The people behind her could not help but jolt and stagger. Fear flashed through Xiao Ya's pretty face. She moved closer to Yi Chen by instinct. "Are you mad, Southern Yi?" An extremely cold voice resounded in the hall. The silhouette at the end of the stone steps suddenly turned around. The flames in the surrounding braziers burned brightly, illuminating the silhouette's appearance. It was an old man in his 40s or 50s. He had long hair and eyes that were as sharp as an eagle's. Yi Chen took a step forward and said calmly, "Are you the Black Miao Village's high priest?" "Mad Southern Yi, we've never interfered with each other's business. Why are you interfering with my Hmong village's business instead of being the overlord outside?" the high priest said with a grim expression. Yi Chen chuckled softly. "No reason. I just don't like you. Since you know who I am, you should kneel and kowtow to accept your death. Perhaps I'll consider leaving your corpse intact." "Arrogant!" the grand priest snorted coldly. "Don't think that you can look down on me just because you're a little famous outside. I'll let you see what I'm capable of right now." His voice fell. A white bone flute suddenly appeared in his hand. As the flute was played, the people felt an unusually cold aura coming at them. Everyone felt an abnormally cold and gloomy aura rushing towards them. Their minds buzzed incessantly, as if thousands of ghosts were howling, and they could barely stand steadily. Clouds of black energy gathered above their heads. Shrieking human faces appeared in the black energy. This is the summoning ghost flute recorded in the ancestral scripture. It can control 10,000 ghosts and even goo with the help of the ghost god's power. The old lady's expression changed suddenly. She seemed to have recalled something and subsequently looked at the grand priest with fear written all over her face. "I can't believe that you killed everyone in the Black Miao village, just to refine a ghost flute. You're so cruel." She finally understood now. No wonder they did not see anyone from the Black Miao village since they came in. They were all killed by the grand priest. Ah! The grand priest laughed maniacally as he played the flute. "So what? As the saying goes, a general's success is built on the bones of 10,000 people. This bunch of trash died a worthy death. When I kill you guys, I'll be the only one in the world." There were blood stains in the old lady's pores from the flute's sound. She did not care about her shock and said to Yi Chen immediately, "Mr. Yi, let's go. Let's go. This old devil has the ghost flute. He can control 10,000 ghosts and goo. You're no match for him." At the same time, the snakes on the stone steps seemed to have received some order as they swarmed toward Yi Chen and the rest. Meanwhile, there were all sorts of venomous scorpions and spiders crawling on the stone walls of the hall. They blocked the exit like locusts. "Oh no, we're all going to die here." The old lady fell onto the ground. Despair filled her face as she regretted coming here with Yi Chen. "What do we do, Yi Chen?" Xiao Ya was terrified. "You want to compete with the musical assassination tactic with me, huh?" Yi Chen shook his head in disdain. He took a deep breath in and released it into his dantian. 8 heavenly dragons' music. A dragon's roar exploded from his mouth. It sounded like 10,000 dragons roaring. It was unrivaled. Golden dragon shadows that could be seen with the naked eye spread out in all directions with him as the center. Wherever the dragon-shaped shadow passed, the snakes and goo insects that swept over exploded into blood foam. In the end, the main hall shook uncontrollably. The white bone flute in the high priest's hand shattered, and he was sent flying by the sound wave, smashing heavily into the wall. With a furious roar, the scene vanished into thin air. Old Lady Xiao, Xiaoya, and the others stared blankly at the scene before them. They would never forget it for the rest of their lives. The summoning ghost flute that the high priest had refined by sacrificing his entire clan was destroyed by Yi Chen. How is this possible? How is this possible? The high priest stood up from the ground with disheveled hair and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock. Who the hell are you? Of course it's the person who killed you. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and stepped onto the stone steps. Step by step, he walked towards the high priest. The high priest gritted his teeth and slammed his palm on the tiger's skin thrown behind him. A series of clicking sounds could be heard, as if some mechanism had been activated. Meanwhile, arrows shot out of the walls around the main hall all of a sudden. They were shooting at Yi Chen from all directions. Yi Chen, get down now! Xiaoya screamed. However, Yi Chen did not stop walking as if he did not see anything. In the next second, the smile on the high priest's face froze. A series of clanging noises came out when the dense arrows hit Yi Chen. They subsequently fell onto the ground, but he did not turn into a porcupine. Daddy, I'm scared. Meng stuck to Yi Chen's chest tightly, shaking like a quail. Don't be scared, don't be scared. Daddy will protect you. Yi Chen stretched his arm out and grabbed an arrow that was charging at Meng. Subsequently, he tossed it onto the ground and walked straight to the high priest. As he approached, the high priest completely panicked. He felt a bone-piercing chill coming from his back. He slammed the tiger's skin thrown hard, and the stone door that led to the outside behind him opened all of a sudden. He leaped out with a whoosh, and the stone door closed instantly. Break it! Yi Chen threw a punch, and the heavy stone door shattered with a thud. He chased after the high priest quickly. The high priest walked to a pool on the mountain. He hit his chest hard as soon as he arrived by the pool. A stream of blood essence was spat directly into the pool. Master Divine Dragon, please save my life. The high priest knelt by the pool with sincerity and prayed with all 5 limbs, as if he did not see Yi Chen coming after him. As soon as he was done speaking, the pool before him seemed to be boiling. A water pillar shot out of the pool all of a sudden as if it was boiling. A huge black shadow shot out from the pool into the sky. Chapter 129. The expression on the old lady's face was replaced by fear when she caught up with Xiaoya and the rest. There was a black silhouette standing above the pool. It was over 10 meters tall and as thick as a bucket. It looked like a tall building. The black silhouette's tail was still hidden in the water. There was a pair of long horns on its head, and its body was covered in scales with spikes all over. There were 2 sharp claws gleaming in front of its chest. Its brown eyes that were the size of eggs were looking down at the high priest and Yang Chen in a condescending manner. It looked like a black dragon from far away. It's a divine dragon from the Black Miao village. The old lady's voice was shaking as she knelt onto the ground by instinct. She felt tiny before such an existence. Never had she thought that there would really be a divine dragon in the Black Miao village's divine dragon pond. The rest knelt onto the ground as soon as she knelt. Fear filled their eyes when they looked at the black dragon while their bodies began shaking uncontrollably. Xiaoya covered her red lips softly as her face turned pale. Yi Chen was the only one standing proudly at the scene while carrying the little girl. Daddy, there's really a dragon, but it's so ugly. Meng stared at the black silhouette with her eyes wide open. The high priest was secretly shocked too. He said to the black silhouette respectfully when he turned his head to see that Yi Chen seemed to be scared out of his wits, Master Divine Dragon, please help me kill this monster. Roar. The black silhouette glanced at Yi Chen coldly and released a furious roar. It seemed to be asking Yi Chen to kneel. Humph! How dare a mere demon transform into a dragon to confuse people? You've never even seen a real dragon. No matter how you transform, you'll look nothing like it. You're no different from a monkey wearing a crown. Yi Chen scoffed and stared at the black silhouette above his head without changing his expression. His voice shook the place. Initially, he thought there really was a divine dragon in the Black Meow Village's divine dragon pond. However, he was disappointed to find out that it was a fake when he saw it. The old lady and the rest lifted their heads at the same time. They were rather shocked. "It's not a dragon?" Subsequently, they forced a smile. Even if it was not a dragon, what was the difference between such a huge monster and a dragon? A living human might not even be enough for it to eat. Roar. The shadow roared again as panic flashed through his eyes. He swung his head and opened his bloody mouth to bite Yi Chen directly. "Yi Chen!" Xiaoya exclaimed subconsciously. Then, she wanted to rush over, but she was stopped by the old lady. "Nini, don't go over. Granny, Yi Chen is still there. I'm going to help him." Xiaoya could not stop struggling. She looked anxious. The old lady shook her head in despair. Clearly, she had given up on Yi Chen. From her point of view, even if Mr. Yi was powerful, the monster in front of her was more than 10 meters tall. In front of it, humans were no different from ants. "Ha ha ha, mad Southern Yi, you're dead." The high priest could not help but sneer. He was well aware of the dragon god's abilities. The little girl in Yi Chen's embrace turned pale when she saw the black dragon biting them. She screamed in fear, "Daddy, the dragon is going to eat us!" "Baby, don't be afraid. Take a look at how Daddy will teach you the art of slaying dragons." Yi Chen comforted her. He hugged her with his left hand and extended his right hand. An ancient sword suddenly appeared in his hand. Instead of retreating, he advanced toward the black dragon. Seeing this scene, everyone present was so shocked that they were speechless. "What are you doing, Yi Chen? Don't go. Come back." Xiaoya was shocked. "Slaying dragons," Yi Chen said without even turning his head. "Brat, you're seeking death." The high priest's face was filled with resentment as if he could already see Master Dragon God swallowing Yi Chen. The old lady's lips were trembling when she heard that. "You're crazy, you're crazy. Nini, let's go." Facing such a monster, not only did he not run, but he even walked toward it. What else could he be if he was not crazy? "I'm scared." She dragged Xiaoya away forcefully after saying that. However, just when she turned around, she saw Yi Chen take a step forward when he was less than 20 steps away from the monster from the corner of her eyes. Yi Chen stood in the air directly. He walked toward the black dragon in the air while holding the sword in his right hand. What was shocking was that he seemed to be walking on invisible stairs with each step he took. "He's walking in the sky." The old lady was in disbelief, while Xiaoya had disbelief written all over her face. Meanwhile, the rest of the White Meow village people were dumbstruck. The high priest looked like he had just seen a ghost. Facing the dragon's head that was less than 2 meters away from him, Yi Chen held the sword hilt hard. The long sword in his hand grew over 10 times, as if it was a giant sword that could hold up the sky. A terrifying sword intent consolidated on the sword, while a cold gleam flickered at the tip of the sword. The moment the sword gleam was released, roar! All the black dragon felt was a murderous aura that covered the sky. The scales on its body stood up. It shook its body hard and turned its head toward the pool. It swept the high priest with its tail. Clearly, it wanted to use the high priest as a shield while it seized the opportunity to hide in the water. "No!" The high priest shouted and charged at Yi Chen at high speed. Slash! Yi Chen swung his sword. A terrifying sword chi exploded from the long sword in his hand. The sword chi was like a giant sword that tore the air apart. The people closed their eyes by instinct, not daring to look at it. It was as if the sword could tear heaven and earth apart. In the next second, as everyone watched in horror, the high priest was sliced into half directly. Meanwhile, the black dragon that was returning to the pool was sliced in half at the waist. A stench of blood splashed into the sky. The black dragon shrieked. It seemed to be unwilling to give up as its body fell hard into the pool. Its boiling blood splashed into the pool, causing the water to boil. The Black Miao village's holy beast, the black dragon that the high priest worshipped like a god, was declared dead just like that. Meanwhile, the high priest was betrayed by the so-called holy beast and died under Yi Chen's sword. Yi Chen walked in the air and killed the dragon with a swing of his sword. The image before everyone's eyes was frozen at that moment. They could not forget it for the rest of their lives. Many of them knelt immediately and could not stop worshipping Yi Chen, who was in the air. Xiao Yu's little mouth was slightly agape. She was in disbelief. A white gleam flashed through the dragon's body above the pool. Subsequently, it turned into a black crocodile that was over 3 meters long. However, it had been sliced into half and was no longer moving. Is this the so-called divine dragon? The old lady was dumbstruck. She could not believe what she saw. After all, the difference between the black dragon and the crocodile carcass was just too huge. However, Yi Chen was not surprised at all. He lifted his head to look at the pool and waved his arm. A white orb the size of a pigeon egg flew out of the giant crocodile's body. It seems like this is the beast core that this bastard cultivated. But why is there a demonic snake's aura in it? Yi Chen secretly frowned and put it away. He looked at the pool again and subsequently lifted his head to look at the old lady who was dumbstruck. Get your people to drain the pool. Chapter 130. Over half an hour later, all the water in the pool was sucked dry. The people could not help but narrow their eyes when they saw what was at the bottom of the pool. Skeletons were everywhere as far as their eyes could see. The entire pool was close to 200 square meters. There were human skeletons at the bottom of the pool. Some of them were broken, while some of them were still intact. Among all the skeletons, there was a corpse that was approximately 10 meters long. It looked like an animal. Although it had decayed, it was still emitting a majestic aura and ferocious aura. Meanwhile, there were rows of eggs the size of an adult's fist under the corpse. However, most of them were empty shells. Yi Chen turned his head to look at the old lady. Did it always rain and thunder when the Hmong village wasn't divided? Indeed, Mr. Yi. The old lady was a little surprised that he knew about it, but she nodded anyway. It's recorded in the ancestral scripture that the weather in the Hmong village was unpredictable 80 years ago, especially the Black Miao village. There were frequent thunders. It happened even on a sunny day. It's all because of it. Yi Chen stretched his arm and pointed at the giant corpse at the bottom of the pool. He said while smiling, "If I'm not mistaken, that corpse was a giant snake that cultivated successfully when it was still alive. God was always jealous of the mutated creatures that turned into spirits. When the founding father built the country, he set a rule that prohibited mutated creatures from turning into spirits. He was the leader, which was equivalent to an emperor in ancient times. He was blessed by God and had a long life. Naturally, what he said was equivalent to the heavenly Tao's decree. Therefore, the heavenly Tao of this world was stricter on mutated creatures turning into spirit. Meanwhile, the giant snake lost control of its aura when it was close to breaking through. It always attracted lightning. Clearly, it failed to escape in the end and died. As it died, the crocodile outside benefited from its carcass and cultivation base. With the help of the snake's body, the crocodile gained some techniques after decades of cultivation. It was then treated as a holy beast by the Black Miao village's high priest. That bastard is cunning. He knew that his crocodile identity wasn't very honorable, so he performed demonic spells to transform into a black dragon in an attempt to confuse people. What a joke! The people could not help but click their tongues upon hearing that. Never had they thought that there would be such a shocking story. The old lady had her eyes on the bones. She straightened her walking stick and said while coughing, "I think the high priest threw these people into the pool to feed the crocodile." Xiao Yu and the rest instantly looked sorrowful. Among the corpses, there were people from the Black Miao village and the White Miao village's clansmen who had died. Yi Chen put Meng Meng down and leaped to the bottom of the pool. He scanned with his divine consciousness and had his eyes on the giant serpent's carcass. To his pleasant surprise, he noticed that part of the skeleton's tail seemed to have a spirit of its own and could be considered as an equipment refinement material. He couldn't help but cut it off and put it away in his storage ring. It was perfect for refining magic tools. Little did he know that when this action of his fell into the eyes of the old woman surnamed Xiao, she became even more reverent. They thought Yi Chen would take things away. There were rows of snake eggs under the carcass, but after so many years, the elemental liquid inside had long been devoured by the crocodiles. There was still one complete one left. Yi Chen picked it up and channeled his spiritual power into it. He could faintly sense a ball of life aura inside. With the nourishment of his spiritual energy, the life aura became stronger and stronger. In the end, the snake egg cracked open with a cracking sound. A little black snake that was the length of a finger peeked out of the shell. It was clumsy and seemed to be a little dumb. It glanced at Yi Chen when it opened its eyes. It stuck its tongue out and licked Yi Chen's hand affectionately. Subsequently, it turned its head and opened its mouth. It spat a mouthful of fire at the eggshell and began munching on it. Interesting. It's just like Meng Meng, a foodie. You're considered the descendant of a snake demon and you're a mutated species in Miaojiang. You have a rare trace of true dragon's bloodline in your body. Since I've helped you to be born, you'll be my daughter's guardian spiritual beast. Yi Chen nodded and leaped into the air. Meng Meng came to him immediately. She looked at the snake on his palm curiously. Daddy, this little snake is so cute. She could not help but poke it with her finger as she spoke. The little black snake glanced at her lazily and ignored her. Daddy's giving it to you. Do you want it? Yi Chen caressed Meng Meng's face. Daddy, I want it. I like it. Meng Meng could not stop nodding like a chick pecking at grains. Yi Chen chuckled softly. Give me your hand. It might hurt a little. Are you scared? I'm not. Meng Meng gave him her hand. Yi Chen scratched her middle finger softly with his fingernail. A drop of blood landed on the tip of his finger. Yi Chen stretched his arm out and pointed at the little black snake. A drop of black blood merged with Meng Meng's blood. Yi Chen performed hand seals with both hands and formed a master and servant blood contract for the two of them. The little black snake stuck its tongue out and crawled into Meng Meng's hand. It could not stop licking her little hand in an intimate manner. Meng Meng could not stop giggling. My dear daughter, give it a name, Yi Chen said with a gentle expression. Daddy, is it a guy or a girl? Meng Meng seemed to be in a dilemma. A guy. Meng Meng nodded. We already have a cutie at home. Why don't we call it Cutie Cutie? Yi Chen was speechless. At the same time, in Qiannan that was hundreds of kilometers away, the Patriarch of Hell was lying outside a bathroom window. He could not stop drooling as he watched the lady who was showering in the house. He suddenly yawned and mumbled, Could someone be cursing me? Could it be that devil? I'll call you Xiaohei from now on. Meng Meng looked at the little black snake that was crawling on her palm. Eventually, she decided to give it a name that was neither unpleasant nor pleasant. Yi Chen carried her and walked to the old lady and the rest after he was done. Just when he was going to speak, the old lady knelt onto the ground first and kowtowed to Yi Chen. She said respectfully, I'm so bold as to request for Mr. Yi to be the Miao King. The hundreds of people present were shocked as soon as she said that. The Miao King. As the name suggested, it was the king of the Miao tribe. The Miao tribe originated from ancient Qiyu. Since ancient times, rumor had it that apart from the 12 witches who could be the Miao King, there had never been a real Miao King in the Miao tribe. After thousands of years of inheritance, there were close to 10 million Miao people. As soon as the Miao King appeared, it meant that there was only one voice in the entire Miao tribe, and that would be the Miao King. Xiao Ye snapped back to her senses after being stunned for a moment. She was the second one to kneel onto the ground, mimicking what the old lady did. The White Miao Village's 130th Saintess, Xiao Ye, requests for Mr. Yi to be the Miao King. Thud. The hundreds of White Miao Village people present knelt. They looked at the skinny silhouette with burning desire in their eyes as they spoke in unison and powerful. We request for Mr. Yi to be the Meow King. We request for Mr. Yi to be the Meow King. Chapter 131. That afternoon, on a blue stone at the mountain behind the White Meow village, Yi Chen sat with his legs crossed. He did not move at all, as if he was meditating. If one were to look closer, one would notice a white gleam in his body. It was the size of a pigeon's egg. The white gleam was getting fainter and eventually disappeared completely. Yi Chen suddenly opened his eyes. Electric arcs flashed through his eyes as a smile appeared on his face. I'm on Mastery Stage Spirit Assembly now. The demonic alligator's beast core didn't disappoint me. Before this, he had broken through to peak intermediate stage Spirit Assembly with the help of the mysterious little tree's fragrance when it bloomed. Now that he had refined the demonic alligator's beast core, he broke through to Mastery Stage Spirit Assembly. If I encounter people like Yuan Bupo again, I'll be able to kill them within a breath's time. Most importantly, I can finally refine a flying sword. Yi Chen revealed a satisfied smile. He had been wanting to refine a flying sword, but he did not have enough spiritual power. Now that he had broken through to Mastery Stage Spirit Assembly, his spiritual power had increased by more than 3 times. He could totally refine a flying sword and perform the sword kinesis method. A white gleam flashed through the storage ring on Yi Chen's finger as he thought to himself. A pair of materials appeared on the ground, especially the serpent tailbone that he had obtained from the bottom of the divine dragon pond and the demonic alligator's carcass. He lifted his arm and waved. The skin and flesh on the demonic alligator's carcass fell off automatically, leaving only a skeleton behind. Yi Chen spat true fire out of his mouth. Over an hour later, 2 magic tools appeared in Yi Chen's hand. One of them was a dark green sword. It was 6 meters long and 8 meters wide. It hovered in the air and vibrated lightly. The other item was a white bone whip. It was completely black and looked like a long snake. There was a black baleful aura coiling around it, giving off a cold and gloomy feeling. From now on, you'll be called the Almighty Killer Sword, and you'll be called the Viciousness Bone Whip, Yi Chen mumbled to himself while looking at the 2 magic tools. At that moment, footsteps came from far away. Yi Chen got up and walked over after putting the 2 magic tools away. He saw 2 ladies in Miao attire walking over. They were Meng Meng and Xiaoya. The little girl was wearing Miao attire. She seemed to be in high spirits as she walked. She ran to Yi Chen immediately as soon as she saw him. "Daddy." Yi Chen picked her up and said in between tears and laughter, "Who put this on you?" "It's Auntie Xiao." "Daddy, do I look good?" The little fellow stuck out her tongue playfully, showing an expression of, "Praise me quickly." "Beautiful. She's a living Meow girl." Xiaoya walked over slowly and bowed to Yi Chen. "Greetings, Meow King." Yi Chen nodded and could not help but take a few more glances at her. He realized that she looked quite different in the Meow costume. Xiaoya seemed to have noticed his gaze. She buried her head in her chest and blushed. She seemed a little uneasy. "Let's go." Yi Chen carried the little girl and returned to the Hmong village. That night, the entire White Meow village had a bonfire party. Countless Meow ladies dressed up and danced around the fire while holding hands. As for the man of the Meow tribe, he was bare-chested, with a leather drum hanging in front of his chest. He was beating it non-stop. Meanwhile, Xiaoya was surrounded by the people like the moon surrounded by stars. However, she would glance at Yi Chen and his daughter every now and then. Yi Chen sat on the Meow King's seat while carrying his daughter. He watched everything quietly, but his mind was elsewhere. He had been out for 3 days. It was time to go back. He would go back after bringing the little girl to the grassland to watch the stars. At night, the music ended and everyone left. A shadow flashed by outside the window when Yi Chen was meditating with his legs crossed after coaxing the little girl to sleep. "Are you asleep, Yi Chen?" Xiaoya's voice came from outside. Yi Chen got up and opened the door. He saw Xiao Ye standing at the door at the moment, seeming to have something on her mind. She glanced into the house and smiled. You guys are leaving tomorrow. Can you walk around with me? I'd like to tell you about the Hmong village. Yi Chen turned his head to look at the little girl. He closed the door and walked out after some hesitation. The duo walked to the lotus pond in the Hmong village like they were taking a stroll in the park. The moonlight was hazy, elongating their shadows. Neither of them spoke, and the atmosphere was a little depressing. Eventually, Yi Chen took the initiative to ask, "Tell me, what's up?" Xiao Ye suddenly buried her head and clasped her fingers tightly. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito. "I want a child." Yi Chen's expression froze, then he said while smiling, "There are so many young men in the village if you want. You can pick one of them. I believe they won't reject you." Xiao Ye's body jolted. She lifted her head all of a sudden to look at him. Her beautiful eyes were extremely complicated. It's impossible for the Miao tribe's holy lady to marry an ordinary tribesman. She's destined to be the Miao king's. "I know what you're thinking," Yi Chen interrupted her. He turned around and said with his back facing her, "I even know that you came to me tonight. You must have been hinted by old Xiao and the rest. However, that's impossible. You guys know about my situation very well. I'm a husband and a father. If you guys don't give up, I'll resign from the Miao King's seat tomorrow." Xiao Ye's face turned pale. She gripped the corner of her shirt tightly and subsequently took a deep breath in. She said while smiling, "I'm sorry." She turned around and left after saying that. Yi Chen was a powerhouse, and it was the Miao tribe's nature to worship powerhouses since ancient times. The people of the Miao tribe valued bloodline inheritance more. According to the old lady and the rest, since they could not make Yi Chen stay, they might as well let him keep some of his bloodline. Naturally, the bloodline of a powerhouse would not be too bad. Yi Chen shook his head and returned to his room. That night, many people were destined to be sleepless. Xiao Ye shut the door tightly and laid on the bed, crying silently. Wu Tashan stood at the door and looked at the beautiful figure reflected in the window opposite him. His face was filled with sadness and unwillingness. Old Lady Xiao blew out the oil lamp and sighed. The next morning, Yi Chen carried his daughter, who had washed up, and walked to the Hmong village's assembly hall. Many people, including the old lady and Xiao Ye, were there. However, Xiao Ye looked exhausted. She held her head down and dared not look Yi Chen in the eye. Yi Chen glanced at her and suddenly asked, "Xiao Ye, are you willing to be my disciple?" His voice fell. Everyone had their eyes on Xiao Ye as envy filled their faces. After all, they had seen Yi Chen's technique before. It would not be an exaggeration to describe him as a god. Xiao Ye seemed to be a little surprised. She mustered her courage and lifted her head to look at Yi Chen with a complicated expression on her pretty face. She knew what Yi Chen meant by that. He wanted to cut off the thought in her heart. Cough, cough, cough. The old lady coughed a few times. Xiao Ye forced a smile after taking a good look at Yi Chen. She knelt hard onto the ground and buried her head. "I'm willing. All right, from now on, you'll be my second disciple. I'll give you the Buddhist name Linglong, also known as Xiao Linglong." Yi Chen nodded and flicked his finger. A spiritual glow penetrated Xiao Ye's head. "I'll teach you the imperial spirit scripture, which can control tens of thousands of gu. I'll also teach you the divine punch created in 33 days. You mustn't teach it to anyone else. Otherwise, you'll bring disaster to your clan. Remember this." Xiao Ye felt her head swell as memories flooded her mind like a tidal wave. Subsequently, disbelief filled her face. "I'll give you the magic tool, the vile bone whip. You'll be in charge of Miaojiang when I'm not here." A long white bone whip appeared in Yi Chen's hand again. The long white bone whip floated to Xiao Ye automatically. "Sit with your legs crossed now. I'll enlighten you." Yi Chen chuckled softly and walked to her. He tapped between her brows after Xiao Ye sat with her legs crossed. He inserted a spiritual energy seed into her body directly. As everyone watched in shock, a green gleam flashed through Xiaoya's body. Her aura changed, and there was a hint of spiritual energy now. From now on, nobody below the master level can hurt you. With the magic tool that I'll give you and the tens of thousands of gu, you can even fight a master. Yi Chen said coldly and looked at the old lady next to him. Old Xiao, I'll set up a company when I get back. I hope that you guys can provide the herbs that I need in the future. Of course, I'll buy them from you guys with money. That way, the lives of the people in Miaojiang will be better. Xiao Xian will remember the Miao King's order. I'll send someone down the mountain to contact the Miao King in the future, the old lady answered while bowing immediately. Yi Chen tapped between her brows. This is a body refining method that I've modified. Old Xiao, you can pass it down to the entire clan to cultivate. You'll have the ability to protect yourself. The old lady knelt onto the ground after digesting the memory in her head. She was over the moon. Thank you. Before she was done speaking, she realized that Yi Chen and his daughter had left. Outside the White Miao village, the little girl hugged Yi Chen's neck and said in her baby voice, "Daddy, I want to cultivate like Auntie Xiao." "Why do you want to cultivate?" Yi Chen asked, feeling rather stunned. The little girl waved her little fist. "I want to become more powerful too. If someone bullies mommy in the future, I'll help Daddy beat him up." Yi Chen shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or to cry. "My dear daughter, you can't cultivate now. You're still growing and your bones haven't formed yet. You won't grow taller if you cultivate too early. I'll pass everything to you when you're 8 years old." "Daddy, will I be as powerful as Auntie Xiao by then?" "Of course. I'll be number 1 in this world, and you'll be number 2. Chapter 132. After leaving the White Miao village, Yi Chen put the little girl down. Seeing that nobody was around, he suddenly asked, "My dear daughter, do you want to fly?" "Yes, yes. Daddy, can you let me fly?" The little girl's eyes lit up and her face was full of excitement. Every child would often dream of flying. Of course, this was due to their growing bodies, but it couldn't stop them from dreaming about flying. Yi Chen pinched her round little face and smiled mysteriously. "Sure, but you have to kiss me." "Dad, don't lie to me." The little girl pouted as if she was unwilling. However, she still kissed Yi Chen's cheek and said in anticipation, "Daddy, can we fly now?" "Sure, close your eyes first. Open them when Daddy calls you. Don't peek." Yi Chen hugged her in his arms. "Well, I won't peek. Otherwise, I'll be a puppy." The little girl hurriedly covered her eyes with her hands, looking very cute. Yi Chen chuckled softly. With a thought, a flying sword landed beneath his feet. It was the almighty killer sword. It had doubled in size and its blade was much wider now. He picked up the little fellow and stood on top of it. He held the little fellow in one hand and put the other hand behind his back. "Rise." The almighty killer sword carried the father and daughter into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they were high up in the sky. Perhaps because the flying sword was too fast, Yi Chen's clothes were fluttering in the wind. A golden gleam flashed on Yi Chen's body, covering the entire flying sword. "All right, my dear daughter, you can open your eyes now," Yi Chen said as he lowered his head to look at the little girl in his embrace. The little guy slowly removed his hands from his eyes, and his eyes instantly widened. "Daddy, we're really flying." She could not help but look at the ground by instinct. Her little face turned pale, and she hid in Yi Chen's embrace immediately. She closed her eyes and shivered. "Daddy, it's so tall, I'm scared." "Don't be afraid. Daddy's here. You won't fall. Be brave. Daddy believes you can do it." Yi Chen comforted with a smile and deliberately slowed down the flying sword. Only then did the little fellow pluck up the courage to poke his head out, weakly looking at the ground beneath his feet and the surrounding scenery. Not long after, the cloudy sky cleared up. "Daddy, we are flying so high. The people on the ground are like ants. Daddy, I can see the grassland. There are so many cows and lambs. Daddy, hurry up, faster." On the woman grassland, a group of people was wandering aimlessly. Let me tell you, the Woman Grassland is one of the largest grasslands in the southwest. The tour guide, Huang Lin, introduced the grassland as he walked. Zhang Dania hugged the urn and raised his head to look at the sky. Sister, I've finally brought you to see the grassland. The grassland is really beautiful. The next moment, in the sky, a figure quickly floated past his line of sight. Tour guide, look! There's someone flying in the sky! Zhang Daniu exclaimed. Everyone subconsciously raised their heads, only to find that they saw nothing but clouds. Wu Yen glared at him fiercely. I thought you were an honest person. I didn't expect you to lie. There's someone flying in the sky, and there's a cow bragging on the ground. Someone scoffed. Zhang Dania rubbed his eyes, thinking that he was hallucinating. When he lifted his head to look again, another silhouette flew through the clouds. There's really someone in the sky. I'm not lying. However, nobody believed him this time. As night fell, a galaxy hung in the sky. It was dazzling and bright. Yi Chun and the little girl laid on the grassland. The father and daughter used their hands as pillows and opened their eyes to look at the stars in the sky. Daddy, how far are the stars? Not far, not far. I promise you that I'll bring you to the stars in the future. Daddy, what's in the stars? Are there aliens? Maybe. Dad, were you taken away by aliens? My dear daughter, why would you ask that? Because Daddy is so powerful. Those bad guys are no match for Daddy. My classmates said that only aliens would be so powerful. That's right, Daddy was captured by aliens. Moreover, Daddy became the king of the aliens. Daddy has many friends on other planets and a kingdom. Daddy, wouldn't I be a princess? Yes, you're a princess, a princess. Daddy will return to the kingdom one day and take back everything that belongs to me. Then, I'll pass the throne to my precious daughter, and let my precious daughter be the empress who rules the world. Daddy, what's an empress? It's the same meaning as a queen. In history, Wu Zetian could be called an empress. Daddy, I don't want to be an empress. Oh, baby, what do you want to be? I want to be Daddy's little princess forever. I can't have a daddy. Ha ha, Daddy, I miss Mommy. When can we go look for Mommy? Soon, there's only 1 month left. Daddy will bring little cutie to pick Mommy up and give her a grand wedding. Daddy wants her to be the happiest woman in the world. Before that, Daddy needs to look for something. Daddy, what are you looking for? I'm looking for some of Daddy's old friends. There's a guy called Wu Shuang. You can call him Uncle Wu Shuang. He's the first person I met. He's cold and arrogant. If Daddy thinks he's number 1, he would dare to think he's number 2. But this guy is too stupid. In the end, he was willing to self-destruct his sword body to save Daddy. There's also a guy called Grandpa Night Demon. He's a bumpkin. Daddy, what's a bumpkin? It's shameless. He likes to take advantage of his seniority and cheat children of their lollipop. This Grandpa Night Demon is so bad. He's already an adult, but he still cheats people of their lollipop. Yes, he's bad to the bone. This old thing takes advantage of his status as Daddy's protective celestial artifact to bully Daddy's other celestial artifact. There's also a big black guy called Uncle Warden. He's the celestial artifact that Daddy uses to tie up criminals. Your Uncle Warden is even worse than Grandpa Night Demon. Why is he worse? He didn't even give face to his father. When his father saw him for the first time, he even tied up his father and locked him in prison. After Daddy became the king, he wrote down every bad guy he killed. When I farted, he said that I affected the image of the celestial emperor. When I pinched someone's foot, he said that I was immoral. He's so bad. The next time I see him, I'll beat him up until his head becomes a pig's head. Ha ha ha, you're very ambitious. Daddy supports you. It's a pity that my baby may not be able to beat him up. Daddy, why? Because there's a rebellion in Daddy's kingdom. Some bad guys are rebelling. Your Uncle Wu Shuang self-destructed his sword body, and his sword spirit was sucked into the void countercurrent. No one knows whether he's dead or alive. Your grandpa Night Demon stayed close to Daddy to protect him. In the end, he was beaten to pieces. I think this old thing may have gone to see God. After all, before this, he had been shouting for Jesus to dance disco. Your Uncle Warden is the stupidest one. In order to help Daddy, he risked his life to tie up the leader of the rebels. When Daddy came back, he seemed to see him being swallowed by the rebels. Grandpa Night Demon and Uncle Warden are so pitiful. Suddenly, Meng Meng didn't want to beat them anymore. Ha ha ha. Chapter 133. On the second morning after watching the stars, Yi Chen rushed back to Qian'an with the little girl. At the same time, at Yaffle Cosmetics Company, Limited, many people were sitting in the general manager's office at the moment. All of them were the company's upper echelons. Everyone looked worried and gloomy. Even Yang Tian, the general manager of the company, was no exception. Director Yang, have you contacted Director Yi yet? The deputy general manager, Gao Hong, could not stop pacing in the office. He looked anxious. The Donghao Group only gave us 2 days, and it's due today. What should we do? That's right. Donghao is a big group after all. I heard that the wealthy Song family of Jiangbei is supporting them. Maybe we should. Another executive said weakly. The Donghao Group that the people were talking about was also a cosmetics company. However, it was a listed company that was many times bigger than Yaffle. The two companies had always minded their own business. However, they had been competing for a raw material production base recently. Yang Tian had gotten the raw material production base himself. Since then, he had offended the Donghao Group. 2 days ago, the people from the Donghao Group had come and forced Yang Tian to sell the raw material production base to them. Most importantly, the price was 30% lower than the cost. Yang Tian refused, so the people from the Donghao Group left in rage. They threatened Yang Tian before they left that they would only give him 2 days to think about it. If he was still unwilling by then, he should not blame them for doing anything. The 2 days were up. Yang Tian saw the people talking one after another. Enough! Yang Tian, who had been looking grim, interrupted them all of a sudden. He said coldly, I know what you guys want to say. I, Yang Tian, will make it clear today. I won't sign that contract. I don't believe that the Donghao Group dares to kill me. He had been trying to contact Yi Chen throughout the 2 days. However, Yi Chen's phone was either out of service or turned off. Even so, he insisted on his principle. As soon as he signed the contract, it would mean that the company would lose the raw material production base. It would be difficult for them to do anything in the future. Moreover, he knew very well that everything that Yang Tian had was given to him by Yi Chen. Without Yi Chen, there would be no Yang Tian. He would not give in even if he were to die. Gao Hong sighed. But he wanted to think that Director Yi might have gotten wind of it and went into hiding. After all, Donghao Group was not a force to be trifled with. As they were talking, the phone in the general manager's office rang and Yang Tian picked it up. Director Yang, Donghao Group's people are here. They brought a lot of people, the front desk customer service staff stuttered. Everyone was shocked. They hurriedly walked to the window and looked down. They saw a lot of people gathered in front of their company's door. Most of them were local gangsters with unfriendly faces. The leader was a young man in a suit, his face sinister and arrogant. Seeing so many people, none of Yaffle's security guards dared to stop them. Yang Tian was enraged. He quickly got up and walked down. He pushed the surrounding people away and glared at the young man in the suit. Song Xian, what are you guys trying to do? Gathering people to cause trouble? Do you believe that I will call the police right now? Call the police? The young man named Song Xian smiled coldly. Yang Tian, you are an executive of a company after all. Since I dared to bring so many people here today, do you think calling the police would work? You! Yang Tian's heart sank. Song Xian said with a forced smile, My dear General Manager Yang, it's the 2-day deadline. What do you think about the raw material production base? Where's that Director Yi of yours? Get him out here now. Director Yi isn't here. We'll talk when he's back, Yang Tian said coldly. He's not here. Song Xian smiled in disdain. Is he not here or is he hiding? Since that's the case, you'll sign the contract. As long as you dream on. Yang Tian interrupted him before he was done speaking. Give up. I won't sign the contract unless you kill me. Song Xian put the smile on his face away and said coldly, since you're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, smash it. Don't you dare. Yang Tian stood in front of him immediately. Why wouldn't I dare? I'll just say that your company owes us money. We're just using violence to collect the money. We'll just fine you at most. Yang, you're too inexperienced to mess with me. Song Xian smirked and turned his head to say to the people behind him, go in and smash it hard. Remember, you guys are here to collect the debt. Song Xian smirked as soon as he was done speaking. The tens of people standing behind him charged into the company with weapons in their hands. Subsequently, there were sounds of things being smashed and all sorts of devastating shrieks. Many people in the company watched that in horror. They dared not interfere as they were afraid that they would be implicated. Yang Tian was enraged to see that. He wanted to go in and stop them by instinct, but two of them held him down and pinned him to the ground. The immense force made his face change shape from the pain. This is what you get for going against Dong Hao. Song Xian walked over and stepped on his face. He said while looking down at him in a condescending manner, you think a piece of trash like you deserves to be called Director Yang? Tui. Even if that Director Yi of yours is here, I'll step on him too. How dare you talk to Yi Chen like that? You're dead. I guarantee that you'll die a horrible death. Yang Tian glared at him. Instead of being mad, he smiled as if he was looking at a dead man. Piak. Song Xian bent down and slapped his face. He said with a scoff, you piece of trash, you seem to have faith in that King Director Yi of yours. Song Xian could not help but lift his head to look at Gao Hong and the rest who were standing aside as he spoke to this point. Yang, did you see that? I've stepped on you like a dead dog. Your employees and underlings can only watch, not daring to say anything. Hearing that, Gao Hong and the rest held their heads down immediately and dared not look him in the eye. They were filled with bitterness and self-blame. Yang Tian was the only one who was unmoved. He clenched his teeth and spat a mouthful of saliva that was laced with blood. He looked determined. That's because they know what Dong Hao is capable of and they know who's behind Dong Hao. Song Xian smiled proudly and said to himself while touching the ring on his finger. Therefore, I'm advising you to be smart and sign the contract now. It's best that you don't have high hopes for that King Director Yi of yours. It's fortunate that he's not here. Otherwise, he'll end up like you, being stepped on like a dead dog. Song Xian's face was filled with mockery as he spoke to this point. He seemed to be a little regretful. At that moment, a cold voice came from behind them. Chapter 134. The people turned their heads to look immediately upon hearing the voice that came out of nowhere. They saw a skinny young man walking over slowly with his arms behind his back. The young man was inconspicuous in a crowd. However, the aura he exuded was rather cold and profound. Regular people would not forget him just by glancing at him. Director Yi. Gao Hong and the rest went over immediately. They were overjoyed. Yi Chen. Yang Tian was elated at first, but worry flashed through his face subsequently. You're that Director Yi? Song Xian only snapped back to his senses after being stunned for a few seconds. He took a good look at Yi Chen with disdain in his eyes. Yi Chen ignored him directly and had his eyes on Yang Tian. Yang Tian said by instinct, Yi Chen, I got it. Yi Chen waved and turned around to look at Song Xian. He said expressionlessly, did you beat him up? Song Xian was secretly jealous that Yi Chen ignored him. Now that Yi Chen asked, he scoffed and said, "That's right. It was me. So what? Which hand did you use?" "I used my left hand." "Yi, what are you going to do?" "You know I'm." Song Xian scoffed. However, he felt a sharp pain coming from his left hand all of a sudden before he was done speaking. He shrieked from the pain and almost fainted. In the next second, a left hand with blood on it fell to the ground. Dead silence filled the place. Fear filled everyone's eyes as they watched Song Xian's left shoulder that was bleeding continuously. Even the two hunks who were holding Yang Tian down were no exception. What did they just see? Song Xian's hand was ripped off by Yi Chen directly. It was direct and decisive. It was even cruel and violent. Yi Chen smirked, revealing his white teeth. "Nothing much. I'll just cripple it." Song Xian fell to the ground. His face was extremely distorted from the intense pain. "Yi, how dare you touch me? You're dead. You're dead. My brother won't let you go. My Song family will make you wish you were dead." Song Xian's face twisted in pain. "Sure, I'll be waiting." Yi Chen nodded coldly and looked at the two hunks standing next to Yang Tian with a terrifying gaze. "Get lost with him. Also, tell the Donghao group and the Song family that his father and brother will bring their men here to kowtow and apologize before this time tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll pay you a visit myself." "Yes, yes, yes." The two of them shuddered and nodded repeatedly. One of them picked up the severed hand while the other supported Song Xian on the ground and left as though they were fleeing. Even after the three of them left, the people present were still in a state of shock. It was obvious that they had not recovered from the scene just now. Yi Chen stretched his arm and pulled Yang Tian up. He patted his shoulder. "Are you all right? It's just a superficial wound. What can happen?" Yang Tian wiped his lips and said worriedly, "You, on the other hand, cut off his hand without saying a word. What if I know very well who is in the right and who is in the wrong in this matter. I've already given them a chance. If they don't come to apologize and take revenge instead, then I won't show any mercy." Yi Chen shook his head and walked in with his men. They found a group of people smashing things in the company. They were very arrogant. Many employees stood at the side and trembled. It was a mess in front of them. "Stop!" Yang Tian roared furiously. "Don't worry. Let them smash it." Yi Chen squinted and smiled in a creepy manner. "Bring all of our employees out now. Remember, don't leave anyone behind. Tell them that the company is on a 3-day holiday." "Are you?" Yang Tian was stunned at first. Subsequently, he seemed to have thought of something as his expression changed drastically. "Old Yi, should we call the police? There were 70 to 80 people here. If he killed all of them, I only follow my own rules and preferences. I can only send them to reincarnation since they dared to smash my company." Yi Chen frowned. "Do as I say." Yang Tian hesitated for a few moments. Eventually, he looked at the group of people who were smashing things merrily and left while clenching his teeth. Not long after, everyone in the company left. Yi Chen set up a soundproof barrier in a few corners of the company. The almighty killer sword appeared in his hand. He walked over slowly with the sword in hand. Over 10 minutes later, Yi Chen called Lin Tai. Yi Chen called Lin Tai. "Get your people to clean up the scene at my company. I want to know who their boss is. I want to see their boss's head before the sky turns dark. Also, get 300 people to be on standby. Get them to go to the Donghao group as soon as my call arrives. I hope to see the news of the Donghao building collapsing on TV." "Yes, my lord." Lin Tai was secretly shocked after hanging up the phone. He could feel Yi Chen's killing intent through the internet. Yi Chen put his phone away and glanced at the pile of dead bodies before him. He squinted and a ferocious gleam flashed through his face. He then disappeared into the night. After leaving the company, Yi Chen thought about it and went to the Gu residence directly. The old master was practicing boxing in the garden. He said while smiling as soon as he saw Yi Chen, "Didn't Master Yi bring your daughter on a vacation? When did you come back? I just came back. Yi Chen smiled and followed him to the living room on the second floor. He asked directly after sitting down, "Do you know about the Song family, old master?" The Song family? The old master frowned. "I wonder which Song family are you talking about, Master Yi? You should know about the Donghao group, right?" The old master came to a realization and nodded. "I understand now. The Song family that Master Yi is talking about should be the Song family in Jiangbei. They're also a wealthy family. Their position in Jiangbei is like our Gu family's position in Lin City." The old master said curiously as he spoke to this point, "Why are you asking about the Song family all of a sudden, Master Yi? Did they offend you?" Yi Chen nodded. "Master Yi, there's something that I'm not sure if I should say," the old master said hesitantly as his expression turned grim. Yi Chen said while smiling, "Go ahead, old master. Jiangbei is nothing like Lin City, especially this Song family." The old master sighed. "I believe you know about the Eastern Superior, Western Overlord, Southern Killer, and Northern Devil, right? Of course, since you killed Yuan Bupo, they became the Eastern Superior, Western Overlord, Southern Madman, and Northern Devil." Yi Chen nodded and gestured for him to continue. "Meanwhile, there's a master in Jiangbei who's on par with Yuan Bupo. His name is Northern Devil Jiang. He's the Northern Devil of the Eastern Superior, Western Overlord, Southern Madman, and Northern Devil," the old master said in all seriousness. "Meanwhile, the Song family has an inexplicable relationship with that man. I heard that woman came from the Song family." The old master stopped talking as he spoke to this point. However, the meaning behind his words was obvious. He was hinting Yi Chen to think carefully before he acted. After all, Tianan was nothing like Jiangbei. Meanwhile, Northern Devil Jiang was more powerful than Yuan Bupo. Just when Yi Chen was going to speak, he heard hurried footsteps coming from outside. Subsequently, he saw Ah Hu walk in quickly. He glanced at Yi Chen and subsequently said to the old master, "Old Master Gu, people from Beijing are here." "Beijing?" The old master was stunned at first, then he asked by instinct, "What does the people from Beijing have to do with my Gu family?" Ah Hu moved his lips. "They're from the Beijing Su family." His voice fell. The old master stood up from the couch in shock. Yi Chen's expression turned serious. Chapter 135. The Su family was here. The old master was shocked that the Su family would come to the Gu family. After all, the Su family and the Gu family had never been in contact. The old master looked at Yi Chen and said after snapping back to his senses, "Master Yi, do you think we should leave?" He did not mind Yi Chen being there at all, but he was worried that the Su family would say something. Yi Chen nodded and walked straight into the old master's bedroom. However, his divine consciousness covered the entire living room. "Ah Hu, let's go and welcome them." The old master glanced at Ah Hu and was about to go out. "There's no need for that. We're already here." A cold voice came from outside. Subsequently, a man and a lady walked in. The lady had beautiful features. She wore a light yellow dress, and her hair cascaded over her shoulders like a waterfall. She looked young, and there was a hint of arrogance between her brows. Meanwhile, an extremely muscular young man followed behind her. He was tall in a suit. At the same time, in the bedroom, Yi Chen's expression changed slightly the moment he saw the lady's face because he realized that the lady's features were 50% to 60% similar to Su Yuhan. Could it be? He could not help but frown. Old Master Gu went up to them immediately upon seeing them. He said with a faint smile, "I'm sorry that I didn't go out to welcome you, my honorable guests. I hope you don't mind." The lady said nothing. On the other hand, the young man behind her said politely, "You're being too polite, old Master Gu. Let me introduce myself. I'm Guosheng, and this is Ms. Su Yuwei." Could she be Su Hong's youngest daughter? Old Master Gu took a good look at Su Yuwei and came to a realization. So many years have passed. I can't believe she's grown up now. He and Su Chongqing from the Su family were friends on the battlefield back then. One could say that they were of the same generation. Meanwhile, Su Hong was Su Chongqing's eldest son, so it was not wrong for him to call Su Hong by his name. Meanwhile, Su Yue and the rest were just juniors to him. You have a great memory, old Master Gu. Su Yue nodded and said while smiling, my grandfather often mentions you to us. He even asked me to visit you if I have the chance. Old Master Gu smiled. He knew that she was just being polite, so he said intentionally or unintentionally, I wonder why you guys are here this time. Old Master Gu, I'll be honest with you. Su Yue went straight to the point. In addition to visiting you, Yue also wants to find someone. Now I'm even more curious. What kind of person can make the Su family pay so much attention to him? Old Gu wasn't surprised at all. Su Yue took a deep breath in and enunciated word by word. The person we're looking for is the Tiannan No. 1, Mad Southern Yi. The old master's eyelids twitched. He suppressed his shock and said calmly, You're looking for him because the news of Mad Southern Yi killing Yuan Bupo on the Surge River has shocked China. The Su family has also heard about it. We know that he's a talent, so we're appreciating him. She paused for a moment before she continued. We are not familiar with Tiannan, and the Gu family is a wealthy family in Tiannan, so I have to trouble Elder Gu to introduce us. In the bedroom, Yi Chen came to a realization. Initially, he thought that the Su family was here for him. Never had he thought that they were here to recruit Mad Southern Yi. Naturally, although he was Mad Southern Yi, he was clearly a different person to the Su family. While old Master Gu looked calm, he had been waiting for Yi Chen's instructions. After seeing that there was no movement in the bedroom, the old master then smiled and said, This matter of yours has really put me in a difficult position. Master Yi is elusive and I don't know where he is. How can I introduce him? Elder Gu, let's not beat around the bush. Su Yue knew that the old master was hiding something. She said while chuckling, Before we came, we found out that Mad Southern Yi is close to your Gu family. Don't worry. We're just trying to recruit him. We have no other intentions. It's true that Master Yi is close to my Gu family, but that was a few days ago. Master Yi isn't in my residence now, and I have no idea where he is. Old Man Gu shook his head and said, How about this, I'll let you know when I see him, okay? Sure, we'll stay at the Hilton Hotel. We'll go back after a few days. Su Yue nodded and left with Guoxing. She had no intention of staying as a guest at all. Not long after they left, Yi Chen walked out of the bedroom. Old Master Gu said while smiling, Master Yi, what do you think? I'm afraid their motive isn't that simple. Yi Chen shook his head and smiled without saying anything as he watched the duo leave. A Maserati was parked by the road outside the Gu residence. Su Yue sat in the driver's seat directly and said without turning her head, Brother Guo, go back to the hotel first. I have some personal matters to attend to. Miss, why don't I go with you? After all, this is… Guoxing forced a smile and said, I told you to go back first, Su Yue said coldly. She started the car and left. On Lin City's East Street. Kill them. Don't let any of them escape. Hundreds of people chased after the dozen people in front with bloodshot eyes with machetes in their hands. All of them were injured, and the leader was a middle-aged man covered in blood. Brother Pao, run now. We'll cover your back. The dozen of them protected him with all their might. Seeing that there were too many people chasing after them, they could not help but push him. Subsequently, all of them clenched their teeth and charged at the hundreds of people who were chasing after them fearlessly. The middle-aged man turned his head to look by instinct. He realized that his brothers were drowned in the crowd. There were sounds of chopping vegetables and devastating shriek. The middle-aged man ran toward the park with all his might. He was panicking. He staggered for a few steps and stopped all of a sudden. He looked at the group of people walking toward him with fear in his eyes. The leader was Lin Tai. Be Brother Pao. The middle-aged man knelt onto the ground and shouted, Brother, I don't think I've offended you. I've never given you any less money every month. Why? You can only blame yourself for offending someone you can't afford to offend. Lin Tai took a deep puff of his cigarette and blew a smoke ring out. As the smoke lingered, his face became a little blurry. Kill yourself. I'll make sure your family is safe. The middle-aged man's body trembled violently. He looked at the hundreds of people closing in on him and smiled bitterly. Fine, I admit defeat. His voice fell. He picked up a dagger and slashed it across his neck. His body fell heavily to the ground, and not long after, the ground was dyed red with blood. Lin Tai walked over slowly and looked at him in a condescending manner. He mumbled to himself while smoking. Not a single one of the people that the High Lord wants to kill can escape. Jinyang District. Surprise flashed across Yi Chen's face as soon as he opened the door. Chapter 136. On the sofa in the room, a long-haired woman was holding Meng Meng, the little fellow, with a doting look on her face and feeding the little fellow from time to time. There was a big bag of snacks next to her. Meng Meng saw Yi Chen as soon as she turned her head. She struggled out of the lady's embrace and pounced at Yi Chen immediately. Daddy, you're back. Yi Chen picked her up and caressed her little round face. He could not help but look at the lady on the couch. He could not hide the surprise on his face. It was Su Yuwei whom he had seen at the Gu residence earlier. At the same time, Su Yuwei, who was on the couch, looked at Yi Chen by instinct. She frowned slightly. Messy hair, common features, the kind that would not stand out in a crowd, stubble, and a singlet that was full of holes, sloppy, tasteless, that was Su Yuwei's first impression of Yi Chen. Her expression turned grim, as if someone owed her a few million yuan. How much did such a person bewitch my sister back then? I can't believe that she chose to be with him, and even gave birth to a daughter. Yi Hai, who was standing aside, forced a stiff smile on his face upon noticing that the duo was silent. Xiaoqin, this is Ms. Su from Beijing. He did not expose her. After all, the Su family was a sensitive topic in the Yi family, especially Su Yuhan. Daddy, this auntie said that she's Mommy's friend. She's here to see me, Meng Meng said in her baby voice. The little fellow said in a childish voice, Auntie is very good to me. She even bought a lot of delicious food for me. You traitor. You were bought over by a bag of snacks, didn't you? Yi Chen slapped the little girl's butt hard, looking rather terrible. Silly girl. This isn't your mommy's friend. She's your mommy's biological sister. Do you know that the poison in your body was caused by the Su family? They're so cruel. Do you know that your mommy abandoned you when you were 2 years old? It's also because of the Su family. After being slapped, Meng Meng looked at Yi Chen timidly all of a sudden. Daddy, did I do something wrong? Xiaoqin, why did you slap her? This girl is still young and doesn't know anything. Yi Hai sighed. The little girl struggled out of Yi Chen's embrace and jogged to Su Yuwei. She handed the bag of snacks to her and said while holding back her tears, I am returning it to you. I don't want it. Yi Chen. Su Yuwei's face darkened. Is this how you treat Meng Meng? Are you good enough to be her father? It's none of your Su family's business to tell me whether I'm worthy or not. Yi Chen scoffed. He could no longer hide the killing intent within him at that moment. Come out with me. Su Yuwei coldly snorted, picked up her things, and walked out with a sullen face. Daddy, I'm wrong. Don't do this to me, okay? The little girl hugged Yi Chen's leg tightly while her tears wetted his pants. Yi Chen sniffled. He picked her up and kissed her. Silly girl, why wouldn't I want you? I shouldn't have hit you. I'll apologize to you here, okay? I don't feel pain at all. Meng Meng wiped her snot on him. Play with Grandpa for a while. I'll be back soon, okay? Sure, be quick. Meng Meng nodded. Yi Chen then let Yi Hai carry her and turned around to walk out of the house. When he arrived at the entrance of the district, he saw Su Yuwei standing before a Maserati angrily. Tell me, what's the matter? Yi Chen said expressionlessly. Yi, are you still a man? Su Yue turned her head and glared at him coldly. She was rather angry. I heard from Uncle Yi that you disappeared before Meng Meng was born and you only came back when she was 4. What's the difference between you and a man who abandoned his wife and daughter? I've told you that it's not your turn to teach me, Yi Chen replied coldly. I really don't know why my sister fell for you back then. Su Yue scoffed with disdain written all over her face. My sister mentioned you to me before this. I thought you had 3 heads and 6 arms. Who would have thought that you're nothing more than this? Where's your sister now? Yi Chen looked at her in a threatening manner. Tell me, what did your family do to Yuhan? Did they lock her up? Su Yue's pretty face changed slightly as soon as he said that. Su Yue's pretty face changed and she glared at him. It's all your fault. My sister ignored her family's objection and forced her to be with you. My brother felt that she had lost the Su family's face, so he locked her up. I'm asking where Yuhan is locked up. Do you believe that I'll kill you right now if you keep beating around the bush? A ferocious gleam flashed through Yi Chen's eyes as a shocking aura exploded from his body. What are you trying to do? Su Yue was shocked. She stammered as she spoke. I have no idea where my sister is locked up. In reality, I haven't seen her for 2 years. Only my brother knows about that. Although she said that, she was secretly doubtful. Where did this piece of trash get such a powerful aura? What a joke. You're the young mistress of the Su family. How would you not know? Yi Chen smiled instead of being mad. He thought that she was lying. Su Yue shook her head and said, It's up to you whether you want to believe me or not. My brother is in charge of the entire Su family now. He never tells us about this. There was once when I wanted to see my sister and asked him to bring me there. He even scolded me. She paused and continued, however, I'm sure that my sister isn't in the Su family. I eavesdropped on my brother talking to someone. I think he heard that my sister is locked up in some temple. Temple? Yi Chen frowned. He finally understood why Lin Tai could not find out about Yuhan's whereabouts no matter how hard he tried. Su Yue nodded and said, It's a temple, but I didn't hear what temple it was exactly. Do you think you're the only one who misses my sister? I miss her more than you do. Of course, you'd better forget about the reason why I'm telling you all this. Don't even think about going to the Su family to look for my sister, let alone looking for my brother. If he sees you, you'll die a horrible death. She took out a bank card from her bag as she spoke to this point and handed it to Yi Chen. There's 10 million yuan in here. Take it. Treat it as my living expenses for my sister. Before Yi Chen could speak, she added again, Please don't thank me. If not for the fact that Meng Meng is my sister's daughter, I wouldn't even bother talking to you. Take it back. I don't want it. Yi Chen rejected her without even thinking about it. He did not lack money. Even if he did, he would not take a single cent from the Su family. The Su family owed him too much, and he had to repay them with blood. What? You don't want it? Su Yue thought she had misheard him. She could not help but glance at him and scoff. Haha, I know you're trying to save face. Save it. Your pathetic pride is nothing to me. This 10 million yuan is enough for your family to live the rest of their lives. The password of the bank card is the last 6 digits of the card number. Alright, I'll be leaving now. She ignored Yi Chen after tossing the bank card onto the ground. She turned around and walked out of the neighborhood. Yi Chen squinted as he watched her leave. Killing intent surged out of him as his expression kept changing. She was a member of the Su family. Should he kill her as the first revenge for the Su family? However, she was Yuhan's biological sister, so what if she was his biological sister? Apart from Yuhan, who in the entire Su family cared about their lives? No, she should care. To be exact, she cared about her niece. Otherwise, she would not have visited the little girl at home. She even bought so many snacks and gave her 10 million yuan before she left. Chapter 137. Soon after his sister-in-law, Su Yue left, a wooden box appeared before Yi Chen. The wooden box was approximately the size of an urn. Even without opening it, Yi Chen knew what was inside. Lin Tai stood aside with his body bowed, not daring to breathe loudly. "Great job!" Yi Chen waved and gestured for him to get rid of the head in the wooden box. He then said, "How's the preparation going?" "My lord, they're ready." Lin Tai clasped his fists immediately and looked hesitant. "My lord, are we really going to blow up the Donghao Group?" The Donghao Group was one of the world's top 500 companies. Its headquarters was in Lin City, so it was not an exaggeration to describe it as the city's leading company. He could not help but shudder when he thought that Yi Chen was going to destroy the group. It would definitely cause a huge commotion by then. Most importantly, the Donghao Group was backed by the wealthy Song family of Jiangbei. Jiangbei's organization was much more powerful than Tiannan. "Then, teach me what to do," Yi Chen said calmly. "I don't dare to." Lin Tai knelt immediately. "Send a message to the Song family for me. I want to see an apology. Otherwise, I'll destroy the Song family tomorrow afternoon." Lin Tai was stunned at first. Then he looked at Yi Chen in disbelief. He was secretly shocked. Destroy the Song family tomorrow afternoon? Yi Chen shook his head extremely coldly and proceeded to say, "Send more people to Beijing. Focus on checking all of the temples in Beijing." If Su Yuhan was really imprisoned in the temple by the Su family, the temples in Beijing would be the biggest suspect. Yes. At the Song residence in Jiangbei, Song Xian laid on the bed with one of his sleeves empty. His face was ferocious as his resentful voice echoed. "Dad, you must kill that brat. You must kill him. My arm is gone. I want him dead." There were many people standing around the bed. The leader was a middle-aged man with a handlebar mustache. He looked majestic. It was the Song family's master, Song Yi. Song Yi was unmoved by Song Xian's shriek. He turned his head to look at an old Chinese doctor next to him and asked, "Doctor Hu, can Xian's arm be reattached?" Doctor Hu shook his head and said in all seriousness, "Young Master Song's arm was forcefully torn off. His blood vessels and meridians are dead. We can only give him prosthetic limbs." Prosthetic limbs. Yi Song's body couldn't help but tremble when he heard this, and he subconsciously took 2 steps back. Wouldn't that mean that his son would be a cripple in the future? He only had 2 sons and 1 daughter. His eldest son was in charge of the family, and his youngest son, Song Xian, was the most similar to him. Because of this, she was extremely fond of Song Xian. It could be said that she spoiled him in everything. Because of this, the Song family spared no effort in supporting him in business. No one in the Su family, not even the entire Jiangbei or Tiannan, dared to offend him. But now, his son had been crippled. How could he not be angry? "Pa!" He suddenly turned around and slapped a young man behind him. With a ferocious expression, he said, "Tell me everything that happened, and tell me who the murderer is." The young man happened to be Song Xian's follower. He knew everything about how Song Xian had gone to Yi Chen's company to pressure Yang Tian. As if he had felt the killing intent of the patriarch, he shuddered and hurriedly told the story of what had happened. Bang! Yi Song punched the wall, and the wall caved in directly. Killing intent filled his face. How dare the boss of a small company be so arrogant? Although he knew that what the young man said was different from the truth, he did not care. To him, his son was thinking highly of Yi Chen's company's raw material production base. If Yi Chen was smart, he would sign the contract on his own. There was no other reason. It was because they were the Song family, the wealthy family of Jiangbei. They looked down on everyone like an emperor. If the Song family wanted someone to kneel, that person would have to kneel, and they would have to kneel with gratitude. The young man's lips moved slightly, but he hesitated to speak. "Master, that person even said that he wants you and the first young master to bring the second young master to apologize to him tomorrow. Anything else? Yi Song smiled in anger. What an arrogant person! Not only did you cripple my son's arm, but you want the three of us to apologize to him? The young man shook his head. And no more. Just when Yi Song was going to speak, hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Subsequently, an old man who looked like a butler walked in and said softly, "Master, someone sent us an anonymous letter earlier. He said that you must apologize to him. Otherwise, he'll kill the Song family tomorrow afternoon." "Great, great, that's great!" Yi Song said "great" 3 times consecutively. His expression was grim. "How many years has it been since I, Yi Song, heard something like that? I was going to look for you. Since you're asking for death, it saves me a lot of effort." The others stood at the side, trembling with fear, afraid of making the slightest sound. However, they couldn't help but sneer in their hearts. No matter who said this, he was dead for sure. The Song family was just too terrifying. Outsiders only knew that the Song family was one of the 4 major families in Jiangbei. They thought that the Song family's ability was on par with the other 3 major families. However, they had no idea that there was a martial Dao master behind the Song family. The next afternoon, Yi Chen sat on the couch and watched television while carrying his daughter. He held his head down to look at the time and chuckled softly. Subsequently, he called Lin Tai. "It seems like these people won't give up until all hope is gone. Let's begin." Lin Tai, who was on the other side of the phone, responded. At 12:35 a.m., the Donghao Group, the biggest company in Lin City, stood a building that was tens of floors tall in the Kaiyang district. Since it was Sunday, a rest day, there were almost no employees in the building. The security guard at the entrance had just eaten. He looked tired with a cigarette in his mouth. At that moment, hundreds of people came out of nowhere. All of them were wearing sunglasses. They broke through the elevator of the guard room by force. "What are you guys doing?" The security guard jolted and wanted to stop them by instinct. However, he was knocked out before he was done speaking. The 300 people started smashing the old things after they rushed into the Donghao building. Soon, the employees who were still in the building ran out at the same time. They looked at the building in shock and fear. Someone came to the Donghao Group to cause trouble? Are they out of their minds? An executive who stayed in the Donghao Group took out his phone and was going to call the police. All of a sudden, a series of loud bangs came. The building that was tens of floors tall exploded directly. Subsequently, it collapsed at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. Many people who were standing far away were shocked when they saw that. Shock filled their faces. Someone blew up the Donghao building? At the same time, in the Yi residence, Yi Chen took out Yang Tian's phone and called him directly after watching the news about the Donghao building's collapse on the television. "Follow me to Jiangbei." Yang Tian was working overtime. He asked in confusion, "Why are we going to Jiangbei?" Chapter 138. As the news of the Donghao building being bombed spread, the entire Jiangbei was shocked, especially the people from the 4 major families. What kind of place was the Donghao building? It was the Song family's foundation in the outside world. Its scale aside, the Song family's name alone was enough to make countless people's scalps tingle. Who dared to be so audacious? However, before they could react, 2 more pieces of shocking news were released. The Song family's young master, Song Xian, had one of his arms severed. The person even said that he wanted the Song family's master, Song Yi, to bring his men to apologize personally. Otherwise, he would kill the Song family. The time was this afternoon. Gasp! The entire Jiangbei was in an uproar now. Arrogant, they were really arrogant. At that moment, the entire Jiangbei was in chaos. The 4 major families of Jiangbei sent people out to investigate. However, the news that they received shocked them. The person who injured Song Xian was called Yi Chen. He was the legal representative of Yaffle Limited Company. Was he just the boss of a small company? Not only that, he was the boss of Lin City. Was this person an idiot? "Oh no, he's dead." Everyone secretly shook their heads. Even if one had some money and capital in Lin City, one could not offend the Song family. Although that was the case, there were still many people lingering around the Smoky Wave Lake where the Song family's villa was. They wanted to know if this Yi Chen dared to come. Especially the people from the other three major families of Jiangbei. The Song family was used to being overbearing. They had more or less conflicts in recent years. They would be happy to see the Song family suffer. Naturally, to them, the hope was slim. At the Song residence, Song Yi sat on the couch and watched the report of the Donghao building's collapse on the television. His face twitched. It was the Song family's hard work. Now it had been destroyed. On top of that, it was destroyed by a brat. No matter who you are, I must kill you for going against my Song family. Song Ye's heart was bleeding. At that moment, the butler walked over and said respectfully, "Master, there are many people gathered around the Smoky Wave Lake where our villa is. Most of them are from the Wang, Qing, and Tong families. Should we? There's no need to stop them. You can even allow their ships to come within 50 meters of our villa." Yi Song took a deep breath and sneered, "If they want to watch a good show, then let them. Once I catch that bastard, I will use his blood to shock Jiangbei. Patriarch, since the other party dares to threaten to annihilate our Song family, I'm afraid they do have some strength." The butler hesitated. To be able to rip off Song Xian's arm without the slightest fear of the Song clan's background, they wouldn't believe it if someone said that they didn't have any power. Yi Song sneered, then took out the walkie-talkie and said, "Ask Mr. Chow to come here." Not long after, two men in black robes walked in with a majestic gait. They were a young man and a white-haired old man. The two of them exuded an unusually strong aura. Every step they took contained a great amount of energy, as if they could break out into a sweat at any time. As they stepped in, everyone in the living room felt a chill run down their spines, and their hair stood on end. The bodyguards standing beside Yi Song were horrified. An expert, an absolute expert. Yi Song got up and walked over. He said while clasping his fists, "Mr. Chow, old fan, I'll be counting on you guys later." "You're too kind, Uncle Song." The young man with the surname Chow sat down and scratched the wine on the table softly with his long fingernail. The wine was cut into half immediately, and the wine inside did not spill at all. Everyone was horrified when they saw that. A look of horror flashed across everyone's faces. The Song family's villa was built on a man-made lake. The man-made lake was over 3,000 square meters. It was surrounded by mountains and water, and there were countless lotuses planted in it. It was summer, and the lotuses were blooming. Meanwhile, Yi Chen and Yang Tian stood quietly by the Smoky Wave Lake. They were admiring the scenery before them with interest. Many people gathered by the lake not far away from them, and most of them were discussing. "What a great place!" Yang Tian could not help but exclaim while looking at the endless lotus pond. Yi Chen squinted. "It's indeed a great place, but it's unfortunate that everything here will be gone from today onwards." "Old Yi, are you sure you've thought this through?" Yang Tian was troubled again when things came to this. "The Song family isn't to be offended. Moreover, Song Xian who offended us has been punished. Why do you, even if I let the Song family go, do you think they'll let us go?" Yi Chen countered with a question. Yang Tian was speechless at that moment. That was right. Song Xian was the son of the Song family's master. Yi Chen had crippled his arm, and his company had been bombed. How could the Song family tolerate that? "Have you heard of a saying?" Yi Chen said. "What is it?" Yi Chen stood with his arms behind his back and said coldly, "If people respect me, I'll respect them tenfold. If people destroy me, I'll rob them 3 times. Yang Tian's body shook slightly, and he looked like he was in deep thought. At that moment, a sweet voice came from behind them, "Excuse me, excuse me." The duo turned their heads to look. They saw a pretty lady around 17 or 18 years old walking over, while holding an old man with one arm. The old man looked helpless. The old man and the young lady stood next to Yi Chen and Yang Tian directly. They even squeezed Yi Chen accidentally. What were they doing? Yi Chen could not help but feel a little speechless. The lady seemed to have run all the way here. She was panting a little. She turned her head and smiled sweetly at Yi Chen. "I'm sorry, big brother." Yi Chen nodded as a response. On the other hand, Yang Tian, who was standing aside, asked curiously, "What are you guys doing here?" "Of course, we're here to watch the Song family get destroyed," the lady said without even thinking about it. The expression of the old man with one arm next to her changed. He scolded her immediately. "Xiaoying, don't talk nonsense." "That's right," Xiaoying mumbled. Xiaoying mumbled. She said while smiling while looking at Yi Chen and Yang Tian, "Big brothers, what are your names?" "My name is Jining. You guys can call me Xiaoying. The man next to me is my grandpa. Let me tell you guys, my grandpa has a bad temper. Don't offend him." "You little girl." The old man glared at her immediately, looking helpless. "What do you mean I have a bad temper? My name is Yang Tian." Yang Tian was amused by her. He pointed at Yi Chen and introduced, "This is my brother Yi Chen. Did you guys say that you guys are here to watch the Song family get destroyed?" Yi Chen glanced at the old man secretly and asked, not knowing whether to laugh or to cry, "That's right. Aren't you guys the same, big brother?" Xiaoying nodded. "Grandpa and I heard that someone is looking for trouble with the Song family, so we came to watch." "No, I don't think this has anything to do with you guys." Yang Tian looked at Yi Chen by instinct and said in slight shock, "Are people so gossipy nowadays?" "Of course." Xiaoying scoffed. "The Song family is too evil. Grandpa and I can't wait for all of them to die." The old man coughed a few times immediately and could not stop hinting at her with his eyes. "Sigh, why do I have such a dumb granddaughter? How can you say something like that out loud? Moreover, you're talking to two strangers." However, Xiaoying did not notice at all. Instead, she said furiously, "The Song family killed my father and even sent someone to chop off my grandpa's arm. They're horrible." Cough, cough, cough. The old man coughed again. Xiaoying asked in concern immediately, "Grandpa, why do you keep coughing? Do you have a cold?" The old man's face twitched. "I'm fine. Why did the Song family kill you guys?" Yang Tian asked by instinct. Xiaoying clenched her little fists and said, "My father used to run a real estate company. The Song family was interested in one of my father's buildings, so they forced my father to sell it to them at a low price. My father refused, so he died in a car accident. My mother was in the car too. She's in a vegetative state now. The Song family took over the company just like that. When my grandpa found out, he went to the Song family alone to ask for an explanation. In the end, one of his arms was chopped off." She hugged the old man and started crying as she spoke to this point. Clearly, she had recalled something sad. The old man could not stop comforting her. "This Song family is inhumane." Yang Tian was so angry that he couldn't stand it anymore. If there was a trace of pity in him before, then there was only hatred now. Yi Chen smiled in a noncommittal manner. Xiaoying wiped her tears. She lifted her head to look at the old man with red eyes and said, "Grandpa, do you think the Song family will be destroyed today?" "Sigh, silly girl." The old man sighed and said, "I want it more than you do, but the Song family is too powerful. It's best that you don't get your hopes up." "But isn't someone coming to destroy the Song family today? Since he's here, he must have the ability to do so," Xiaoying said while biting her lip, unwilling to give up. "It's most likely fake." The old man shook his head and said while forcing a smile, "The Song family has been in Jiangbei for hundreds of years. They're deeply rooted. To destroy them, we'll need at least an army of 10,000 people. On top of that, they must be fully armed." He could not go on as he spoke to this point. The only way to have so many armed forces was through the government. However, the Song family was clean on the surface. There was no stain on them at all. Even the leader of Jiangbei City turned a blind eye to it. The reason why he came today was that his granddaughter dragged him here. She had been living in hatred all these years. Xiaoying's beautiful eyes dimmed upon hearing that. Xiaoying's beautiful eyes dimmed. So, not only will the Song family be fine today, but the good man who crippled Song Xin will also die? The old man forced a smile and nodded. Most likely. Unless he's a martial Dao master who can leap onto roofs and vault over walls, it's impossible for him to escape. Xiaoying's eyes lit up when she heard the words martial Dao master. Grandpa, is it a martial Dao master like Mad Southern Yi? Chapter 139. As soon as Xiaoying was done speaking, Yi Chen could not help but rub his nose. Yi Chen, who was standing aside, could not help but rub his nose. Why did he hear his name everywhere he went? On the other hand, Yang Tian looked lost and curious. He had no idea who this Mad Southern Yi was, nor did he know what a martial Dao master was. That's right. The single-armed old man nodded. Grandpa told you before that martial Dao masters have already reached the level of transcendence. Their abilities are unparalleled. If this martial Dao master is equipped with bulletproof vests and equipped with a submachine gun, he can single-handedly wipe out an army of 10,000 people. Xiaoying's little mouth opened slightly in shock. Uncle, why don't I understand anything that you guys are talking about? What Mad Southern Yi? What martial Dao master? Yang Tian could not help but ask. To an ordinary person like him, those were all new terms. He had never heard of them before, and Yi Chen had never mentioned them to him. The single-armed old man glanced at him and said after some hesitation, I'm talking about the ancient martial world. Martial Dao master is a cultivation base. As for this Mad Southern Yi, Grandpa, let me say it. Let me say it. Xiaoying took over the topic with excitement written all over her face. She said while smiling while looking at Yi Chen and Yang Tian, Brothers, have you guys watched the demigods and semidevils? Of course, Yang Tian said while smiling. He was also a Jin Yong fan. To be exact, he was a wuxia fan. He loved demigods and semidevils the most, and he had watched every version. However, he loved Huang Rihua's version and Hu Jun's version of Qiao Feng the most. Let me tell you guys, there are experts like Qiao Feng in reality, Xiaoying said while blushing. Yang Tian took a light breath in. He was not surprised about that. After all, he had seen Yi Chen's techniques before. Xiaoying thought he did not believe her seeing that he had no reaction. She turned her head and said to the single-armed old man, Grandpa, show us what you've got. Nonsense. The single-armed old man said angrily. Do you really think I'm a monkey? Xiaoying began to act coquettishly, her beautiful eyes tearing up. Grandpa, sigh, I really don't know what to do with you. The single-armed old man sighed and looked around. Seeing a willow tree that was as thick as a bowl next to him, he stretched his arm and slapped the tree. A palm print appeared on the tree trunk. It was about 4 to 5 inches deep, but the one-armed old man's hand was completely fine. Xiaoying looked at Yang Tian and Yi Chen arrogantly immediately. Big brother, do you guys believe me now? However, Yang Tian looked at the single-armed old man and then at Yi Chen. He said by instinct, Old Yi, this old man doesn't seem to be as powerful as you. Xiaoying, the one-armed old man. Yi Chen was speechless. After saying this, Yang Tian regretted it and quickly apologized. That, uncle, I'm sorry, I've always been like this, I'm straightforward. He had seen Yi Chen's techniques before. Whether it was stomping on the ground with 1 foot or killing 20 people in anger, the shock they gave him surpassed that of the one-armed old man. Thus Yi wasn't lying. It's fine. The single-armed old man took a good look at Yi Chen and frowned. Little brother, are you from the ancient martial world too? He could not sense any energy or cultivation base on Yi Chen at all. He was just like an ordinary person. No. Yi Chen shook his head. Grandpa, I'm just joking with you. Xiaoying shook her head in an uncaring manner. She said while looking at Yang Tian, "Brother Yang Tian, do you finally believe me now? This mad Southern Yi is more powerful than my grandpa." Subsequently, she told them about the battle between Yi Chen and Yuan Bupo on the Surge River. She was so excited when she told them about it as if she had experienced it herself. Yang Tian looked shocked after hearing that. He could not help but ask while looking at Yi Chen, "Old Yi, is this mad Southern Yi really that powerful?" "I think so." Yi Chen had no idea how to answer that. "It's not I think. It's definitely him." Xiaoying rolled her eyes at him and said with a long face, "If mad Southern Yi were to fight, the Song family would definitely be destroyed," but she knew that her thought was just wishful thinking. After all, mad Southern Yi was from Tiannan. It was impossible for him to come to Jiangbei to look for trouble with the Song family for no reason. The single-armed old man looked sad too. He had thought about his granddaughter's thought too. However, that was just a thought. Yang Tian suddenly moved his mouth close to Yi Chen's ear and whispered, "Old Yi, tell me the truth." Yi Chen frowned. He thought to himself, could this brat Yang Tian have figured out my identity? "Tell me the truth. Who's more powerful between you and that mad Southern Yi?" However, Yang Tian asked. Yi Chen was speechless at that moment. How was he supposed to answer that? Yang Tian's voice was neither loud nor soft, but the single-armed old man heard it. "Mad Southern Yi doesn't need anyone. How can you guys compare to him?" He could not help but secretly shake his head. He thought that the two of them had never seen the world. He said to his granddaughter while looking at her, "Xiaoying, let's go. It seems like that man isn't coming back." Xiaoying's face turned pale. She seemed to be a little disappointed, but she nodded anyway and turned around to leave. However, she saw Yi Chen walking toward the lake from the corner of her eyes. "Big brother, what are you doing?" Xiaoying stopped walking immediately and blurted out. The single-armed old man's expression changed slightly. He said immediately, "Little brother, don't. Come back now. This is the Song family's territory. We've crossed the line by standing here. Grandpa, stop Big Brother now. If the Song family sees this, Big Brother will be in trouble." Xiaoying panicked too. The single-armed old man wanted to stop him by instinct. However, in the next second, the expression on his face suddenly froze, and it was replaced by a wisp of dense astonishment. He saw Yi Chen take a step out and land on the lake. He walked to the other side of the lake step by step as if he was stepping on flat ground instead of water. The scene shocked him greatly. "Big brother, he." Xiaoying was stunned. Disbelief filled her pretty face. Although he was prepared, Yang Tian could not help but be shocked. He mumbled to himself, "The person you guys are waiting for is Old Yi. Look, who is that? He can stand on the lake directly? How is that possible? Is he the person we're waiting for?" At the same time, everyone around the smoky wave lake exclaimed one after another when they saw that. Countless eyes were trained on Yi Chen in shock. In the Song family's villa, all the bodyguards who were guarding outside stared blankly at the silhouette on the lake. He was walking on water. Was he still a human? "Dear, report to the master now. Everyone get ready. Order him to stop. Don't get close to the villa. Otherwise we'll kill him." Yi Chen stood with his arms behind his back. He lifted his head to look at the Song family's villa across the lake as his extremely cold voice echoed. "Where's the Song family's master? I, Mad Southern Yi, am here to destroy the Song family today." Chapter 140. Where's the master of the Song family? I, Mad Southern Yi, am here to destroy the Song family today. Yi Chen stood on the water. His voice reverberated through the entire lake like a bell, echoing in everyone's ears. The onlookers were stunned at first. Subsequently, they seemed to have recalled something and exclaimed at the same time. "What? He's Mad Southern Yi? The Tiannan #1, Mad Southern Yi? Isn't Mad Southern Yi from Tiannan? Why is he here in Jiangbei?" And he wants to destroy the Song family? It's obvious that the person who threatened to destroy the Song family is Mad Southern Yi. It's just that we didn't know who he was. The Song family is done for offending this person. As soon as Yi Chen was done speaking, the entire Smoky Wave Lake was in an uproar. Everyone looked at the silhouette on the lake with a burning desire in their eyes. They were shocked. The legendary Tianan No. 1, Mad Southern Yi, was here, and they were lucky enough to see him with their own eyes. Just thinking about it was shocking. At that moment, countless text messages and phone calls were sent everywhere, especially to the three major families of Jiangbei. "Little brother, you're Mad Southern Yi? How is that possible?" The single-armed old man felt his scalp go numb, as if he had been struck by lightning. He was in disbelief. Xiaoying covered her little mouth and stared blankly at the skinny silhouette on the lake. Big brother is Mad Southern Yi? She and her grandfather had been talking for a long time earlier. Mad Southern Yi was right next to them, but none of them had come out. F***ck. Yang Tian was the only one who cursed. He looked speechless. "Old Yi, so you're Mad Southern Yi. No wonder your surname is Yi. You've hidden yourself well." In the Song family's villa. At that moment they were toasting and dancing. "Come, Mr. Chow, old fan. I, Song Yi, propose a toast to you guys. Let's drink until we're drunk." Song Yi held a glass of red wine, his face extremely passionate. Old Fan frowned. "Master Song, that person isn't here yet. It's not a good time to drink now." "You're overthinking, Old Fan. It's almost 5 p.m., but that brat isn't here yet. I think he's too scared to come." Song Yi shook his head, not bothered at all. Elder Fan's lips moved slightly. Just as he was about to speak, the young man surnamed Chow said with a gloomy expression, "Senior Fan, Patriarch Song is right. He's just a nobody, and I presume he's trying to intimidate Patriarch Song on purpose. Not to mention that he doesn't dare to come. Even if he does, I, Chow Lei, will absolutely kill him." At this point, his face was filled with pride. Elder Fan thought about it and agreed. He picked up his wine glass and was about to drink it when he heard hurried footsteps coming from outside. "Patriarch, bad news, bad news." As soon as he finished speaking, the butler rushed in a panic. Yi Song was a little displeased. "Why are you in such a hurry?" "Patriarch, that brat is here." The butler stuttered, not bothering to catch his breath. "He's just a nameless nobody. What's there to be afraid of?" Chow Lei smiled coldly. He stood up and said, "Song family head, watch as Elder Fan and I kill him." Yi Song said with a face full of resentment, "Mr. Chow, leave him alive. I want to torture him to vent my hatred." "Of course," Chow Lei said coldly and was about to leave when Elder Fan suddenly asked the butler, "Did that person say what his name is?" "Yes." The butler nodded. "He said his name is Mad Southern Yi." As soon as that was said, Elder Fan, who had just taken a few steps out, staggered. He turned his head and looked at the butler when he finally steadied himself. "What did you say? Say it again?" "He said his name is Mad Southern Yi," the butler said again. The house fell into dead silence. It was so quiet that they could only hear each other's heartbeat. They were no longer as calm as they were before. Yi Song was shocked. He gulped and said, "Could it be the Tianan No. 1, Mad Southern Yi?" He was shocked by his own speculation. What kind of person did the Song family provoke? How is that possible? Mad Southern Yi is from Tianan. How dare he come to Jiangbei to cause trouble? Chow Lei looked shocked. Elder Fan sighed. "Patriarch Song, if it's really Mad Southern Yi, your Song family is in danger." "Elder Fan, what should we do?" Yi Song's expression changed drastically. "Forget it. I'll plead for you personally." "He'll let the Song family go for my brother's sake," Elder Fan said coldly and walked out of the villa. Countless eyes looked at him as he walked out. The single-armed old man across the lake had fear written all over his face. He could not help but exclaim, I can't believe the Song family invited Old Man Fan. Grandpa, who's Old Man Fan? Xiaoying asked in confusion. Old Man Fan is an ancient martial arts expert from Jinsi. He's famous for his pair of eagle claws. Nobody below the master level is his match. I heard that Western Overlord Lu is his sworn brother. The single-armed old man stared deadly at Elder Fan and smiled awkwardly. Yang Tian asked by instinct, nobody below the master level is his match. Does that mean he's not Old Ye's match? The single-armed old man smiled and said nothing. Having a martial Dao master as his sworn brother meant that he was on the same level as Master Yi. After Elder Fan walked out of the Song family's villa, he saw a silhouette standing on the smoky wave lake. The person was walking on the water toward the villa. No wonder he was the Tianen number 1. His temperament alone was incomparable to ordinary people. His face turned pale as he walked to the lake quickly. He clasped his fists at Yi Chen, who was on the lake, respectfully. May I know if you're Mad Southern Yi, Master Yi? Who are you? Yi Chen squinted and took a good look at him coldly. Elder Fan felt chills run down his spine as he looked at Yi Chen's cold stare. He bit the bullet and said, I'm Fan Yao. My brother is Western Overlord Lu. I wonder if there's a misunderstanding between Master Yi and the Song family? I hope that Master Yi can. To him, as long as he mentioned his sworn brother, Yi Chen would definitely show him respect. Scram in 3 breaths, or I'll kill you. However, Yi Chen interrupted him before he was done speaking. Master Yi, my brother is Western Overlord Lu. Fan Yao's expression changed. He was rather upset. 2 breaths. Yi Chen was unmoved as he walked to him slowly. Fan Yao felt embarrassed, so he said coldly, Yi, don't be too arrogant. Although you're a master, my sworn brother, Western Overlord Lu, is a master too. Yi Chen's eyes turned cold. He said nothing more and vanished from the lake. Subsequently, he appeared before Fan Yao like a specter. No, Fan Yao stared with his eyes wide open. Just when he was going to beg, he exploded into a bloody mist. Until his death, he could not understand why Yi Chen dared to kill him despite knowing that Western Overlord Lu was his sworn brother. At that moment, the place fell into dead silence. Everyone stared at Yi Chen in disbelief with their eyes wide open, especially the single-armed old man whose scalp was tingling. Old Man Fan, the disciple of Western Overlord Lu, died just like that? He really killed him just like that. Xiaoying's eyes were filled with little stars. Big brother Yi is so handsome. I like it when you're rough. The reason why I don't want to kill you is purely because you're not from the Song family. However, you talk too much. Yi Chen did not stop walking. He walked toward the group of bodyguards at the entrance of the Song family's villa, one step after another like the god of death. Each time he took a step forward, those people would take a step back. Song Yi and Chao Lei, who were walking out, saw Fan Yao's death too. They felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar. Mr. Chao, what should we do? Song Ye's eyes were filled with fear when he looked at Yi Chen. At that moment, he was filled with regret. If he had known that it was Yi Chen, he would have brought Song Xian to apologize since the beginning. Chao Lei gulped hard. He was scared out of his wit. Master Song, the only thing we can do now is to get Master Jiang to help us. Chapter 141. That's right, that's right. Get Master Jiang here. As long as Master Jiang gets here, Yi will definitely die. Yi Song snapped back to his senses after hearing Chao Lei's reminder. He shouted at the tens of bodyguards before him, stop him. Don't let him come. He turned around and returned to the villa after saying that. He took out his phone with a ferocious expression and made a call. The tens of bodyguards guarding the villa's entrance charged at Yi Chen with killing intent on their faces after hearing Yi Song's order. They were like hungry tigers pouncing on their prey. Those bodyguards were all ancient martial artists. Their abilities were at least on internal energy. Any one of them could fight up to 100 ordinary people. If all of them were to fight an army of 5,000 people, one could tell that the Song family's ability was extraordinary. Kill him! At the same time, over 10 people charged out of the villa. Each of them had a huge dog in their hand. The dogs had a ferocious gleam in their eyes as they bared their teeth at Yi Chen. The people across the lake could not help but have a change of expression. The people on the other side of the lake couldn't help but change their expressions. Obviously, they didn't expect that there were so many people hiding in the Song family's villa. Grandpa, Big Brother Yi, Xiaoying could not help but become nervous. Yang Tian clenched his fists tightly, his heart thumping hard. Those people were too powerful. Any one of them would be enough to kill his grandpa. The single-armed old man shook his head and said, "If you're really mad, Southern Yi, these people won't be able to stop him." People were coming from all directions, especially the over 10 dogs that were pouncing at him. "You're seeking death." A ferocious gleam flashed through Yi Chen's eyes. A shocking aura exploded out of his body. The aura swept out like a shockwave. Everyone could not help but reveal fear on their faces. They realized that their bodies were disappearing quickly. First, it was their hands, then their heads. Within the short span of a few breaths, up to 100 people had vanished. Silence. It was extremely quiet. A few seconds later, all sorts of exclamations came from the people who were watching across the lake. Deep shock was written all over their faces. Am I hallucinating? Over 100 people are gone just like that? Is this how terrifying a martial Dao master is? They can kill without a trace and kill their enemies in the blink of an eye? It's unbelievable, unbelievable. Big Brother Yi is so powerful, Xiaoying cheered. The one-armed old man was breathing heavily. There was only respect left in his eyes when he looked at Yi Chen again. He felt that he did not come here for nothing and that he did not live in vain. At the entrance of the Song family's villa, Chao Lei dared not move at all. His mind was buzzing. Although he knew that mad Southern Yi was powerful, he did not expect him to be this terrifying. That was over 100 ancient martial arts practitioners, not 100 pigs. Even if it was 100 pigs, if they lined up for you to chop them one by one, it would still take half a day. However, they were gone in the blink of an eye. Mad Southern Yi was actually that terrifying. Yi Chen's footsteps woke him up. He could not help but jolt as he felt like every step was stepping on his heart. Chao Lei knelt on the ground with a thud. Master Yi, let me go. As long as you're willing to let me go, I can help you deal with the Song family. It's too late. Yi Chen slammed his palm down. Ha ha, Yi, you won't live well even if I die. The Song family leader has asked Master Jiang to come out. As soon as he comes out, you'll definitely die. Chao Lei laughed out loud knowing that he was going to die. His head exploded as soon as he was done speaking. The Song family must be destroyed today. No one can do anything about it. Yi Chen was unmoved. Just when he was going to walk into the Song family's villa, he saw another group of people rush out. The leader was a middle-aged man with an extremely muscular body. The people across the lake were in an uproar. These people were all holding an AK in their hand. These guns were contraband. Where did the Song family get so many of them? Xiaoying's pretty face had a slight change of expression. She was so mad that she cried directly, shameless. I can't believe these people are using guns. The one-armed old man looked helpless. He was not surprised by that at all. He could not help but look at Yi Chen as he thought to this point. He secretly shook his head. Master Yi is going to suffer this time. Although a master is powerful, he's not tough. Shoot him. Kill him. The middle-aged man waved hard. The people standing before him released the safety at the same time. They aimed their guns at Yi Chen and fired. Their movements were very familiar. Some of the people who were watching closed their eyes by instinct the moment the gunshots were fired. They seemed to be unwilling to watch the bloody scene that was about to happen. Let's see if you're going to die now. Even if you're Iron Man, I'll be able to kill you, the middle-aged man scoffed. However, in the next second, the smile on his face froze all of a sudden. The tens of AK bullets suddenly stopped when they were about to reach Yi Chen. Yes, they stopped. Moreover, they were hovering in the air. They did not move at all, as if they were still. How is that possible? The middle-aged man lost himself in shock. Disbelief filled his face. The rest were so shocked that they could not speak at all. I forgot to tell you guys that guns are no threat to me. I'll return them to you. Yi Chen smirked and subsequently waved hard. The tens of bullets that were hovering in the air shot out in the opposite direction. The tens of people, including the middle-aged man, froze instantly. A bloody hole appeared on their foreheads at the same time. The bloody hole was getting bigger and bigger. All of them fell onto the ground at the same time. They had died with their eyes wide open. The whole place was silent. Everyone was shocked by the scene in front of them. Have you ever seen dozens of bullets fly out and still be able to stop? Have you ever seen those bullets fly back and kill the person who fired them with a flick of his sleeve? Damn it, old Ye's technique is insane. Even an AK can't do anything to him? Yang Tian rubbed his eyes immediately and revealed an expression as if he had seen a ghost. The single-armed old man took a deep breath in and said with a trembling voice, "Is this Master Yi a human or a god?" He was really shocked. Yi Chen did not even look at the dead bodies on the ground. He walked into the villa one step after another. Yi Song and many of the nannies hired by the Song family were hiding in the corner. They looked at him in fear. "I'm only going to kill Yi Song and his son. The rest of you, scram if you don't want to die." He glanced coldly at the women and children who were shaking in fear. Everyone rushed out as soon as he was done speaking. They were afraid that Yi Chen would go back on his words. Soon, only the Song family members, including Yi Chen, were left. "Why?" Yi Song said while pretending to be calm. His eyes were filled with fear and rage when he looked at Yi Chen. "Why? Even if my family offended you first, you've severed one of my son's arms. We should be even. Why do you want to destroy my family? It's not that I haven't given you guys a chance. It's useless to talk about this now." Yi Chen walked over with a cold expression. Yi Song took a step back immediately. His body could not stop shaking. "Do you know who's behind my family?" "He's Northern Devil Jiang. Master Jiang is on his way. He won't let you go if you dare to kill me. I've already killed the Southern killer. I don't mind killing another Northern Devil." Yi Chen grinned and did not stop walking. Yi Song's expression changed drastically. He felt a chill running from his head to his toes. He screamed in desperation, "Master Jiang, please save my life." Bang! An abnormally deep voice came from outside. "Mad Southern Yi, this is Jiangbei, not your Tianan. How dare you behave atrociously in my territory?" Chapter 142. As that deep and resounding voice fell, Yi Song, who had a look of despair, couldn't help but be overjoyed, as if he had seen his savior. Yi Chen picked him up with one hand and walked out of the villa. Meanwhile, all the spectators felt as if their minds were about to explode, and they all turned to look at the end of the smoky wave lake. A surging lake water swept over from that direction, and it was mixed with a monstrous, killing intent. Even though they were very far away, the people at the scene could not help but feel their scalps go numb when they felt this aura. The thing I was most worried about still happened. The lips of the one-armed old man on the lakeside trembled, his face full of shock. Xiao Ying's pretty face turned pale. She subconsciously tightened her grip on his sleeve and asked anxiously, "Grandpa, what happened? Uncle, could it be that someone else has come?" Yang Tian was shocked. "Not bad." The single-armed old man took a deep breath in and looked far away at the surging lake. He enunciated word for word, "He's here. Northern Devil Jiang, the Jiangbei number 1. Northern Devil Jiang?" Yang Tian looked confused. On the contrary, Xiao Ying's pretty face turned pale, and she hurriedly cried out in alarm, "What, it's him. Oh no, Big Brother Yi is in big trouble now. Uncle, stop keeping us in suspense. Who exactly is this Northern Devil Jiang? Yang Tian was panicking. The single-armed old man shook his head and said bitterly, Northern Devil Jiang is also a martial Dao master. He's the number one in Jiangbei. He's known as one of the 5 powerhouses: Eastern Superior, Western Overlord, Southern Mad, Northern Devil, and Zhongwen Sword. Master Yi is also called Mad Southern Yi. He's the Mad Southern of the 5 powerhouses. Rumor had it that among the 5 powerhouses, Eastern Superior Ning was arrogant and did not care about the affairs of the world. Western Overlord Lu was vicious and heartless. Mad Southern Yi was arrogant and insufferably arrogant. Meanwhile, Northern Devil Jiang had killed the most people and was the most ruthless. In other words, Old Yi has caused a huge ruckus and encountered a tough opponent? Yang Tian's expression changed drastically and his heart sank. Grandpa, what should we do? Why don't we let Big Brother Yi run? Xiao Ying was so anxious that she was about to cry. The one-armed old man sighed. Silly child, this isn't a small fight. How can we run? Mad Southern Yi coming to Jiangbei to destroy the Song family was equivalent to slapping Northern Devil Jiang's face. It was a matter of pride. A Grandmaster should not be insulted. He could only hope that Grandmaster Yi would take the initiative to give in. Just as he was thinking, the sound of waves came from afar, and a black figure gradually appeared in everyone's line of sight. Everyone's expression froze. It was a middle-aged man. His figure was as tall as an iron tower, and his body exuded a thick, ferocious aura, as if he had walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. A pair of tiger-like eyes looked disdainfully at the world, its fierceness covering the 9 heavens. All eyes were focused on him. Their eyes were filled with shock and even fear, so much so that they momentarily forgot to speak. On the other hand, the expressions of the people from the other 3 major families of Jiangbei changed. I can't believe there's really a martial Dao master behind the Song family. Moreover, it's Northern Devil Jiang. Yi Chen's eyes also landed on the skinny figure. Surprise flashed across his face. Was this the Jiangbei number 1, Northern Devil Jiang? He was just like his name, overflowing with baleful aura. Master Jiang, my dear son-in-law, save me, save me. Yi Song, who was in Yi Chen's hand, could not stop struggling. His face was flushing. His voice fell. The man in black who was 100 meters away earlier appeared before Yi Chen within the blink of an eye. Both of them were less than 10 meters apart. He ignored Yi Song's call for help. Instead, he looked at Yi Chen expressionlessly. Yi Chen stared right back at him. The duo said nothing as they looked at each other. The atmosphere at the scene was rather dead silent. What was going on? Were they going to fight or not? Just when the people could no longer hold it in, Northern Devil Jiang spoke first. Mad Southern Yi, Jiangbei is my territory. You've crossed the line. The single-armed old man across the lake said while smiling. It seems like Northern Devil Jiang is afraid of Master Yi too, so he's trying to resolve this. How can you tell? Xiaoying was confused. Yang Tian interrupted, it's simple. If Northern Devil Jiang wasn't afraid of Old Yi, he would have definitely attacked as soon as he got here. However, he didn't. Instead, he gave Old Yi a way out. That's right. The single-armed old man nodded and said, since Northern Devil Jiang gave him a way out, I believe Master Yi will take this opportunity to, however. He was interrupted before he was done speaking. Yi Chen picked his ear. What did you just say? Northern Devil Jiang's expression turned grim. I said, you're crossing the line. The previous sentence, Yi Chen said. Northern Devil Jiang said while frowning, this is Jiangbei, not your Tiannan. How dare you behave atrociously in my territory? Your people are acting atrociously in my Tiannan. Since you can't do anything about it, I'll do it for you. Yi Chen smiled calmly. Subsequently, his smile turned cold. Moreover, I, Yi Chen, am acting atrociously in your territory. So what? The crowd gasped as soon as he was done speaking. Everyone had shock written all over their faces as they thought they heard it wrong. Damn it, old Yi. Don't you King seek death? Yang Tian could not help but curse. Are you trying to fight me? You're slapping my face as soon as you speak. The single-armed old man's face twitched slightly. What a mad Southern Yi! He's extraordinarily mad. How dare you? Northern Devil Jiang was enraged. He could not help but scoff. I'm telling you. Yi Song is my father-in-law. Try and touch him if you dare. Bang! A loud thud came as soon as he said that. Yi Song, who was in Yi Chen's hand, exploded into a bloody mist directly. He did not even manage to shriek. At that moment everyone was dumbstruck. They watched that in disbelief with their eyes wide open. Not only did he move, but he also killed. Northern Devil Jiang was stunned too. Never had he thought that Yi Chen would really kill Yi Song right before his eyes. Not only that, but he did it so cleanly. How dare you? Yi Chen chuckled softly and looked normal. I'll try. You. This. Is. Here. Find. Die. An extremely cold voice exploded above the entire smoke wave lake, shaking everyone's ears to the point that they were buzzing. The people looked over in horror immediately. They saw the aura on Northern Devil Jiang's body change all of a sudden. Killing intent that could not be dispersed was gushing out of his body. The people were shocked. He was enraged. The Jiangbei No. 1 was enraged. Quick, retreat. Retreat 50 meters away. The single-armed old man's expression changed. He grabbed his granddaughter and retreated immediately. Yang Tian hesitated and retreated tens of meters away too. Grandpa, we can't see clearly from here. Xiao Ying was a little dissatisfied. The one-armed old man's face was filled with shock. A battle between grandmasters has broken out. When two grandmasters fight, the entire Smoky Wave Lake will be destroyed. If we stand too close, we will be affected. The next moment, Northern Devil Jiang leaped onto the surface of the lake. He stood on the water as killing intent shot into the sky. He looked at Yi Chen and said in a voice that shook the entire place, "Mad Southern Yi, get your ass over here and accept your death. I'd like to see what you're capable of, killing you on Bupo." As you wish. Yi Chen moved and appeared on the lake within the blink of an eye. He stood with his arms behind his back while his clothes fluttered in the wind. Chapter 143. Above Smoky Wave Lake, Northern Devil Jiang and Yi Chen stepped on the river at the same time. They were 50 meters apart. One of them was filled with killing intent while the other had no aura at all. Even so, all the onlookers held their breaths, afraid to miss any detail. The faces of the people from the three great families were flushed. The Mad Southern versus the Northern Devil. It's like a confrontation between Tiannan and Jiangbei. No matter who wins, it will shake the entire ancient martial arts world. Will Mad Southern Yi kill Northern Devil Jiang and continue the legend, or will Northern Devil Jiang defeat Mad Southern Yi and remain undefeated? On the shore of Misty Wave Lake, the one-armed old man's eyes burned with passion. I never thought that I would be able to witness a battle between two grandmasters in my lifetime. I have no regrets in this life. Big Brother Yi, you must win. Xiao Ying supports you. Xiao Ying clenched her fists and stared at the skinny figure on the lake. Yang Tian's expression was solemn. Old Yi, take it easy. If you can't beat him, remember to run. If you die, I don't have the ability to avenge you. Shut up. Xiao Ying glared at him. At the same time, news after news was sent to various parts of China, causing another uproar. Quick, come quickly. Mad Southern Yi has arrived in Jiangbei and wants to destroy the Song family. Northern Devil Jiang has stopped him. The two of them are fighting on the Smoky Wave Lake. What? Really? How can this be fake? I saw it with my own eyes. Mad Southern Yi killed hundreds of people from the wealthy Song family of Jiangbei alone. In the end, He even killed Northern Devil Jiang's father-in-law in front of him. Isn't Mad Southern Yi a little too arrogant? He just killed Yuan Bupo, and he can't wait to set foot in Jiangbei. Is he trying to defeat the remaining 4 powerhouses? Crazy, crazy, he's crazy. All the wealthy families in the 3 provinces of Tiannan were shaken. They looked in the direction of Jiangbei in astonishment. Was the High Lord unable to endure the loneliness again? He had just killed Yuan Bupo and now he had offended Northern Devil Jiang? Hilton Hotel. Dressed in a plain dress, Su Yuwei strode out of the hotel and said to Guosheng, "Brother Guo, let's go to Jiangbei." "Miss Su, what happened?" The bodyguard, Guosheng, was at a loss. "Mad Southern Yi has appeared, and he's in Jiangbei." Su Yuwei sat in the car and suppressed her excitement after taking a deep breath. She said while suppressing her excitement, "I just received news that Mad Southern Yi and Northern Devil Jiang are fighting. Let's go now. We should be able to make it. If this person doesn't die, there'll definitely be a place for him in the top 10 of the Heaven Leaderboard in China. This time, we must recruit Mad Southern Yi to our Su family no matter what. Any one of the top 10 on the China Heaven Leaderboard is enough to shake the entire country." Above Smoky Wave Lake. Fight. As Northern Devil Jiang screamed in rage, a rumbling energy wave surged around him. It spread out with him as the center. Wherever the strength chi passed, the surface of the lake was directly split into 2, and countless huge waves of the lake water swept across the sky. Dragon Elephant Wave Fist. Northern Devil Jiang threw a punch out. Boom. The air exploded as an incomparably powerful force exploded from his fist. It charged at Yi Chen instantly. "You want to fight with your fists?" Yi Chen moved. Instead of retreating, he charged forward and threw a punch without hesitation. Subsequently, mockery appeared at the corner of his lips. Bang! The fists of the 2 collided with a loud bang, and the power that erupted from it poured out in all directions, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. Explosions kept coming from the surface of the lake. Waves that were over 30 meters tall were stirred directly. Countless lotus leaves were tossed, but they were torn into pieces within the blink of an eye. Bang! An unparalleled wave swept across the area. The people who were watching by the lake had a change of expression. They wanted to retreat by instinct, but it was too late. The rumbling lake water slapped the shore directly, throwing everyone out. Many of them were spitting blood. When they lifted their eyes to look at the 2 voices on the lake again, horror was the only thing left in their eyes. A master's power was terrifying. That was so close. Xiaoying patted her chest by instinct. She looked scared. Fortunately, her grandfather had pulled them back. Otherwise, they would have been affected too. Yang Tian's eyes were blank. "I didn't know that old Yi was so powerful." Only the one-armed old man stared at the surface of the river, waiting for all the lake water to fall back to the ground. A black silhouette staggered tens of steps back. Giant waves were created under his feet, and he looked rather clumsy. Everyone was shocked when they saw who it was. Did Mad Southern Yi defeat Northern Devil Jiang with a single punch? They had just started fighting, right? Compared to the people's shock, Northern Devil Jiang wiped the blood at the corner of his lips after finally stabilizing himself. There was deep fear in his eyes when he looked at Yi Chen again. How can this guy be so powerful? In the first exchange of blows between the 2 of them, he was at a disadvantage. Although he had heard that Yi Chen had defeated Yuan Bupo single-handedly, he did not believe it. He thought it was an exaggeration. However, he had to believe it now. Yi Chen stood with his arms behind his back as everyone watched. He said calmly, "Northern Devil Jiang, is that all you've got? It's too early for you to be happy." Northern Devil Jiang smirked in a terrifying manner. He then charged forward while performing all sorts of hand seals. A shocking power exploded from his body again. Meanwhile, all the water in the Smoky Wave Lake gathered towards him, and not long after, it condensed into a huge river. The river was about 4 to 5 feet long, like the hand of a giant, whistling and circling above his head. Mad Southern Yi, I'll show you my ultimate skill, descending glacier. There was coldness in Northern Deviljong's eyes. He changed his hand seal, and threw a palm attack in the end as he shouted. The long river that was circling in the sky whistled. It was like a gigantic waterfall that streaked across the sky and charged at Yi Chen directly. 33 days created Divine Fist, the 13th move. Sky's severing finger. Yi Chen's fingers were as translucent as jade and emitted a blinding light. His 5 fingers moved slightly like 5 roaring true dragons, emitting a terrifying aura. Break. He pointed his finger forward. He directly faced the whistling river. The heaven-severing finger was extremely powerful and profound. Upon mastery, a single finger could sever a mountain range and shatter the sky. Let alone a mere river. Northern Deviljong scoffed, what a futile attempt. Boom. The moment they collided, a deafening thud echoed around. A deafening explosion resounded in the surroundings. Violent energy ripples spread out in all directions, exploding the surface of the lake. As for the long river, it shattered with a bang under Yi Chen's finger. Countless splashes shot in all directions, piercing through the trees by the shore. The onlookers' faces turned pale when they saw that. The faces of the onlookers turned pale. Oh no! Northern Deviljong's heart sank seeing that the long river was broken. Just when he was going to perform another technique, his eyelids twitched. A silhouette charged over all of a sudden. Bang! Northern Deviljong had goosebumps all over his body. Subsequently, he felt an intense pain coming from his chest. He was thrown out directly and he could no longer fight. Meanwhile, his chest caved in. At that moment, the entire world fell into silence. At that moment, everyone's expression froze. The silhouette that stood proudly on the river was the only thing left in their eyes. They felt like they would never be able to forget it. Yi Chen looked at the silhouette that flew out clumsily with mockery in his eyes. That's all you got, Northern Devil. Chapter 144. The entire Smoky Wave Lake fell into dead silence. Everyone stared with their eyes wide open in shock. Northern Deviljong was defeated. Not only that, but he was defeated so quickly. They thought the battle between two masters would take at least hundreds of rounds to determine the winner, let alone 3 days and 3 nights. Who would have thought? Northern Deviljong was defeated in less than 5 minutes. Everyone looked at the skinny silhouette on the lake again. They felt their hearts shaking. Mad Southern Yi, how powerful exactly are you? First, he killed Yuan Bupo with a single hand. Later on, he broke Northern Deviljong's Ice River descent with a finger. He only used 2 moves from fighting back to defeating Northern Deviljong. As a result, more messages were sent to various parts of China, causing another uproar. You guys don't have to come. Northern Deviljong is defeated. How's that possible? Are you kidding me? I haven't even stepped out of the door and the winner has been decided. Damn, Xiaoying looked at Yi Chen blankly. Her little face was flushing. Big brother Yi, I didn't know you were so powerful. The single-armed old man forced a smile upon hearing that. Not only was he powerful, but he was also heaven-defying. He would not have believed it if he had not seen it with his own eyes. Facing the people's exclamations, Yi Chen lifted his eyes to look at the lake. His eyes were fixed on a lotus leaf. Come out. There's no use pretending to be dead. The lotus leaf flew far away at a high speed. It was so fast that it was hard to capture it. Subsequently, Northern Deviljong leaped out of it in a clumsy manner and leaped away at high speed. You're still running? Yi Chen chuckled softly and dashed away quickly. Mad Southern Yi, don't go too far. We'll meet again in the future. Must you fight me to the death? Northern Deviljong was secretly terrified. He hated himself for not believing in Yi Chen's battle record in the beginning. Otherwise, he would not have ended up like that. There's no need for us to meet again. Yi Chen did not slow down at all. He was not affected at all. Northern Deviljong's expression changed drastically. He said while running, "Mad Southern Yi, let me go. I swear that I won't be your enemy anymore." The people were dumbstruck at that moment. The Jiangbei #1 was being hunted by Mad Southern Yi. He could not stop running like a dead dog. They had never imagined this before. Seeing that Yi Chen was chasing after him, Northern Deviljong suddenly stopped walking and clenched his teeth. "You force me to do this. What other tricks do you have?" Yi Chen asked. Northern Deviljong's expression turned ruthless. He extended his arm and hammered his chest hard, spitting a mouthful of blood out. Just when everyone thought he was being forced by Yi Chen and was going to fight with his life on the line, Yi Chen stopped him. Northern Deviljong ran away again. Furthermore, his running speed this time was more than 3 times faster than before. In the blink of an eye, he had already leaped over a kilometer away. Escape technique? Yi Chen stopped chasing after him and said in deep thought, "Interesting. Forget it, I'll let you go for now." After saying this, with a few leaps, he arrived at the edge of Smoky Wave Lake and walked towards Yang Tian and the others. "Big brother Yi, you were so amazing just now." Xiaoying was so excited that she couldn't even speak fluently. The one-armed old man hurriedly bowed and said, "Greetings, Senior Mad Southern." "I wasn't, it's all right." Yi Chen shook his head and subsequently looked at Xiaoying. "Did I scare you earlier?" No. Xiaoying stuttered and looked at him with admiration. "Big brother Yi, can Xiaoying be your disciple?" "No." Yi Chen rejected without even thinking about it. He could not help but say after seeing the young lady's sad face, "You're not suitable to be my disciple. However, I can introduce you to a good master if there's a chance." Really?" Xiaoying's eyes lit up. She said after some hesitation, "But Xiaoying still wants to be Big Brother Ye's disciple. You're the best." "Really? I'll introduce you to someone if there's a chance. This is my phone number." Yi Chen patted her head and gave her his contact number. The one-armed old man knelt onto the ground and was extremely grateful. "Thank you, Master Yi. Firstly, thank you for avenging us. Secondly, thank you for giving Xiaoying a chance. It's all right. The reason why I destroyed the Song family has nothing to do with you guys." Yi Chen chuckled softly. Seeing that the people around were faintly surrounding them, he said, "All right, we should head back now. You guys should leave too. If you don't want any trouble, it's best that you pretend that you don't know us." He left with Yang Tian after saying that. On the way back to Tianan, Yang Tian asked while driving, "Old Yi, since when did you become Mad Southern Yi? Why didn't I know?" "Not long ago. I forgot to tell you," Yi Chen said while smiling. "You even kept it from me." Yang Tian was in between tears and laughter. He suddenly stopped the car by the side of the road and turned his head to look at him. He said half-jokingly, "Old Yi, I want to be as powerful as you. Why don't you take me as your disciple?" "Are you serious?" Yi Chen asked. Yang Tian put the smile on his face away and said in all seriousness, "Yes, I'm serious. After what happened today, I just realized that the gap between us is too huge. I don't want to be left behind by you. I don't want to see what happened today happen again. I can only be a bystander and worry about you." "Ordinary people can't take my Tao," Yi Chen said. "You have to take it even if you can't." "Sure." Yi Chen took a deep breath in and said, "The reason why I didn't bring you on the Tao of cultivation is that your personality isn't suitable. If I force you, I'll only harm you in the end. Since you've asked for it, I'll set a test for you. It's over 2,000 kilometers from here to Changbai Mountain in the northeast. Walk there step by step. If you can make it back to Tianan within 3 months, I'll teach you." "What? Walk there? Are you kidding? That's over 4,000 kilometers. Yang Tian's face turned green instantly. Was that something a human could do? "That's right. You have to walk there and walk back. The time limit is 3 months. You can't take cars, high-speed trains, or planes. You can't even bring money with you when you leave. Yi Chen said in his deep voice, "Of course, if you can't even do that, I suggest you be an ordinary person and continue being the general manager." He was not deliberately making things difficult for Yang Tian, but he knew Yang Tian's temperament very well. Yang Tian was indecisive. With such a temperament, he could live a wealthy life as an ordinary person, but if he wanted to embark on the path of cultivation, he would die sooner or later. Moreover, Tao could not be taught easily. When Yi Chen first transmigrated to the cultivation world, he traveled all over the mountains and rivers with his staff in order to seek immortality. He only managed to join a small sect after walking for 5 years. One could imagine how tough it was during that period of time. It was also the 5 years of training that forged his character. Yang Tian stared at Yi Chen for a few seconds. Subsequently, determination flashed through his face. "Sure, I promise. Don't worry. I'll do what I say. It's just 4,000 kilometers, right?" Back then, the great ancestor led so many people to climb snowy mountains and cross grassland. "I can do it too. As long as I don't die, I'll walk to my death. I'll definitely meet you in Lin City in 3 months. Sure, get out of the car now. Let's begin the first step of your journey of over 4,000 kilometers. Yi Chen opened the car door and kicked him out. F***ck, do you have to be so violent? At least let me take my phone and wallet. Yang Tian shrieked. "I'll take care of your phone and wallet for 3 months. I'll return them to you when you're back. Remember, from now on, you don't have a single cent on you. If you starve to death on the way, I'll collect your body. Of course, I won't shed a tear because that's your choice.